Chapter 5041. In the face of such a terrifying attack, Lin Xian was still not afraid. He waved the long sword in his hand, with an aura that could destroy everything, to resist those ancient runes. The power of the dragon-shaped sword Qi was boundless. Boom! It slashed those ancient runes. The ancient runes kept dimming, and more than a dozen of them cracked, while the others were also broken. Is this all you've got? If you don't have other unique skills, you can't beat me. Lin Xian looked disdainfully in all directions, like a sword god descending. The abyss of Dead Soul's face became a little dark. To be honest, he never thought that the other party could break his divine abilities so easily. The power of these ancient runes was very terrifying. Even a mid-stage great saint was not a match at all. He would definitely fall in despair. However, the other party easily broke it with a few swords, which shocked him. It seemed that the other party's strength was beyond his expectations, especially his sword technique, which was unheard of. Good boy, it seems that I have really underestimated you. Since then, you will suffer despair next. An extremely terrifying light burst out from the abyss of Dead Soul's eyes. Obviously, he was going to use his strongest unique skill, illusory spirit formation. One after another, terrifying runes flew out from his body, sweeping across all directions, flashing between heaven and earth, instantly forming a powerful formation. There was an extremely terrifying soul power flying out from it, attacking Lin Xian. This power was even more terrifying than the ancient runes from before. Lin Xian's expression was cold, waving his sword Qi, sweeping in all directions, shattering all the soul power. He said, "Is that all? You are really disappointing. Boy, don't be so arrogant. My unique skill is not something you can imagine. You will see it later." The abyss of Dead Souls snorted coldly, forming a seal with his palms, and immediately the broken rune formation condensed again. An extremely cold aura was emitted from inside. A terrifying cold wind blew out. This cold wind was as if it was blown out from the 18th level of hell, making one's hair stand on end. After blowing past, the surrounding void kept shattering, unable to resist at all. The others also felt their scalps go numb, and their faces were filled with horror. What kind of formation was this? Some people frowned. Could it be that the rumors were true? Legend had it that this spell formation was made up of winds drawn from the 18 layers of hell. It was incomparably terrifying, and if a great sage were to be enveloped by it, he would undoubtedly die. What? Was he that powerful? The others were even more shocked after hearing this. The 18 levels of hell, the deeper one went, the more terrifying it would be. The energy gathered and extracted from there would definitely exceed one's imagination. This Dead Soul's abyss was truly terrifying. When the Dead Soul's abyss heard this, the corners of his mouth curled up into a complacent smile. He said, "How's the kid? Did you hear that? How can you resist this kind of energy?" Cold Moon Palm. A deep voice sounded out. Suddenly, an endless amount of wind transformed into a crescent moon that descended and enveloped Lin Xian. The gloomy coldness formed by this crescent moon was even more terrifying. It was as if the entire hell had descended. When the surrounding people felt it, they kept retreating. Their eyes were filled with despair. It was over. No one could withstand such an attack. Some older generation figures said that the nether wind formed in this Death Soul's abyss was absolutely not from the first 3 levels. It must be below the 3rd floor. No one could compare to this kind of power, and the others were even more shocked. Most of them could not go to the 3rd floor. However, this Death Soul's abyss could actually go to the 3rd floor and below. How shocking was his ability? The young geniuses sucked in a breath of cold air. Was this the power of a top-notch genius? The gap between them and him was really too big. The Death Soul's abyss was really strong. However, that Lin Wudi was not simple either. To be able to make the Death Soul's abyss use such a unique skill, he should be proud. When this was said, the others also nodded. Yes, the sword technique he used previously was invincible and could even kill the ancient cursed talisman. If not for the Death Soul's abyss, who had a powerful trump card, if it were anyone else, they would not be able to withstand such sword energy. The person who said this was an elite from Yen Luo Jian. His body was filled with a black aura, causing the surrounding people to be terrified and their scalps to tingle. Needless to say, this was an extremely terrifying older generation figure. If even he said so, it was enough to show how terrifying the two people in front were. Everyone looked over and saw that the battle ahead was extremely terrifying. The moon was constantly condensing and spinning, and Lin Xian's long sword was waving. The Hellfire Dragon sword turned into dragon shadows one after another, sweeping across all directions. The battle between the two was earth-shattering. Shui, Linglong, Hanya, and the others were stunned. They could not even get close to such a battle. Not to mention fighting, they could not even block one move. At the same time, they were also shocked. Was that Lin Wudi really Lin Gongzi? This kind of strength was too heaven-defying. Even the two great saints gasped. If it was really Lin Wudi, then this person's strength was too heaven-defying. His future achievements were limitless. Lin Xian, who was at the front, kept waving his sword light. He was also shocked. One had to admit that this Death Soul's abyss was really too strong. No one of the other party was so arrogant. It was not that he had not seen geniuses before. In fact, he had seen many of them. He had even fought with Long Ao before. However, this Death Soul's abyss in front of him was stronger than those geniuses. In particular, the unique skills and divine abilities were truly shocking. Lin Xian guessed that the other party should be able to compete with a real emperor's son. Such a person, no matter which era, would be the top. No wonder people called him the young emperor. If he wanted to fight against such an enemy in the past, he would have to go all out. He might even fall into a very dangerous situation. Unfortunately, he was different now. He was no longer the same as before. He had cultivated the great emperor's inheritance, which was superior to all other inheritances. The unique skills inside were unimaginable to others. His strength had also undergone an earth-shattering change compared to before. Thinking of this, Lin Xian's expression turned cold. A peerless formation? Then I'll let you see what a true peerless divine ability is. Lin Xian stretched out a finger. There were extremely terrifying black runes condensing on it. It was extremely mysterious. Then he pointed out, boom, boom. The sky fell, and the earth cracked. This finger turned into a ray of demonic light and flew forward. Wherever it passed, nothing could stop it. Not only that, the demonic runes on it flickered, causing the entire world to change. It was as if it was no longer hell but a demonic world. What kind of divine ability was this? Feeling the power of this finger, the Death Soul's abyss expression finally changed. He kept waving his arm and condensed it again, forming a moon that kept spinning. He tried to block it. The cold wind on the moon could freeze everything. It collided with the demonic finger. Countless large cracks condensed between heaven and earth. Did he block it? The Death Soul's abyss heaved a sigh of relief. The others were also shocked. They didn't expect Lin Xian to have a unique skill. However, it shouldn't be a match for the Death Soul's abyss. However, just as they finished speaking, their pupils constricted. There was a shattering sound in front of them. Chapter 5042. They realized that cracks had appeared on the cold moon formed by the chilly wind, and there were more and more of them. It was impossible to resist. Finally, with a shattering sound, the cold moon shattered. The black finger attacked the Dead Soul's abyss. The Dead Soul's abyss's pupils shrank. He quickly retreated, leaving behind an afterimage. The place where he was standing was directly pierced through. Not only that, but a large crack appeared on the entire battlefield, spreading into the distance. The surrounding people felt a wave of fear. If this finger were to land on them, no one would be able to resist. It seems like you have a trump card. Lin Xian's eyes burst with a piercing cold light. He had also encountered a peerless enemy. He felt his blood boiling. With such an enemy, killing him would allow him to take another step on the path of martial arts. At that time, no one would be able to contend with him. At the thought of this, his figure flickered, and he charged forward. The illusory spirit array exploded again. This time, 10 cold moons appeared, rotating between heaven and earth. Countless people were shocked. Could it be that the Dead Soul's abyss had not used all his power before? Heaven, this is too unbelievable. The Dead Soul's abyss also shouted coldly, "Do you know that I have been cultivating in the 4th level of hell all these years? How can you imagine what I have experienced? No one can stop me, and neither can you." His voice rang between heaven and earth. Everyone was shocked. Heaven, the 4th level of hell, it was even more terrifying than the 3rd level. This Dead Soul's abyss could enter, and seemed to have stayed there for a long time. It was too unbelievable. Lin Xian snorted coldly. "So what if it was the 4th level of hell? Do you think I have not improved over the years? What I have cultivated is also not something you can imagine." Speaking of this, the light on his finger exploded again. At the same time, he formed a seal with his palm. Endless demonic chi condensed, forming a huge seal. He held it in his hand and slammed it forward. Everywhere it passed, the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. This attack caused hundreds of black holes to appear between heaven and earth. The light of the stars in the outer realms shone down upon them. Countless people were shocked. What kind of magic was this? It surpassed everything. Could it be the legendary Great Emperor's magic? It was too unbelievable. Where did this guy cultivate the Great Emperor's magic? Death Soul's abyss, can you block this attack? Lin Xian shouted coldly as the black seal rushed forward. The Great Earth Monarch's divine ability, Demon God Seal. Once it was used, its power would be boundless. Before the seal arrived, countless spatial cracks had already appeared in the surroundings. Dead Soul's abyss's body went cold. He felt a threat to his life. Damn it, what a powerful divine ability. I can feel the aura of extreme Tao. Could it really be a divine ability of the Great Emperor? His expression became extremely ugly. The undead spirit source was very powerful, enough to enter the 4th level of hell. In the entire underworld, there were not many young geniuses who could contend with him. One could say that he was very far away. However, no matter how strong he was, the divine abilities and martial arts he cultivated could not be compared to true emperor-level divine abilities. Therefore, at this moment, when facing the real demon god seal, he was also facing a formidable enemy. The expert from the Bridge of Helplessness cried out in alarm. What a terrifying aura! I can feel my soul trembling. Could it really be the power of the extreme Tao, the theurgy of the Great Emperor? Soul Sage sucked in a breath of cold air. It must be a divine ability of the Great Emperor. He had cultivated the Earth divine ability, Azura Sword technique, and Shadowless Heaven's net. Naturally, he could feel the power of the Great Emperor's divine ability. At this moment, the aura coming from the Black Seal was very similar to the 2 divine abilities of the Great Emperor. This must be a divine ability of the Great Emperor. Where did Lin Wuyi learn it? They had never taught him before. The blood fiend Saint sighed as well. This was a true young Great Emperor. Hanya and Xueling Long were stunned as well. Their eyes were filled with shock and admiration. To be honest, they had always wanted to compete with Lin Xian. But now, it seemed that they were really too naive. Lin Xian had long surpassed them. They might not even be able to block a single attack from him. The others were even more shocked as they looked ahead. Was this really a divine ability of the Great Emperor? It was as if the Great Emperor had come back to life. Dead Soul's Abyss's expression was even colder. I always thought that I could compete with the true Great Emperor. In the entire underworld, there are no more than 5 people who can fight with me. There are no more than 3 who can make me take them seriously. And they are all top geniuses who have been famous for a long time. But I didn't expect that someone like you, who just appeared in the underworld, could make me feel like I'm facing a great enemy. Your attack even made me feel despair. If it was in the past, I might not have been able to block it. But unfortunately, I didn't cultivate in the 4th level of the underworld for nothing. I have also cultivated my own divine ability. I'll let you see it. Spiritual energy surged in all directions. As his voice fell, heaven and earth shattered in all directions. The earth cracked open and endless flames were extinguished. An extremely terrifying and strange aura spread out. Everyone's pupils shrank as they saw 8 stone tablets appear. On each stone tablet, there was a vertical eye drawn. The 8 eyes covered everything. Wherever the gaze passed, the void seemed to be cut open by a knife. What was this? The surrounding people were shocked. They didn't expect Dead Soul's Abyss to have such a divine ability. Could it be that it was just created? Looking at this scene, Phantom heaved a sigh of relief. He knew how terrifying the power of spiritual energy surged in all directions was. The other party would definitely not be able to block it. Lin Xian frowned. The other party still had a trump card, but so what? He didn't care at all. Waving his palm fiercely, the demon god's seal blasted down. This attack was unstoppable, completely ignoring the 8 stone steels. Seeing this scene, Dead Soul's Abyss frowned. Wasn't the other party dodging? Where did the other party get the confidence to block the 8 spiritual eyes? The others were also shocked. Was he going to fight with his life on the line? They didn't know why Lin Xian chose to perish together with the other party, but in the next moment, they understood because a pair of black wings appeared behind Lin Xian. With a gentle flap, he instantly disappeared. He actually dodged the gaze of the 8 spiritual eyes and appeared in front of them in an instant. Not good. Dead Soul's Abyss pupils shrank. The other party's speed was faster than he expected. Soul Sage exclaimed. This wasn't Shadowless Heaven's net. The other party actually had a movement technique comparable to the Shadowless one, and his speed was even faster in a straight line. What kind of movement technique was that? Cracks appeared on Dead Soul's Abyss body. He roared, "You want to dodge the spiritual eyes and chase after me? Impossible. I'm in the array formation." With a roar, the eyes on the stone tablet moved and charged over again. Wherever the gaze passed, it was very fast. In an instant, it had arrived. The black wings on Lin Xian's back flapped again, and he instantly dodged. He seemed to have appeared in a different location. At the same time, he also used Shadowless Heaven's net. His figure was even more elusive. Chapter 5043. The illusory spirit eye continued to attack. The 8 steel's gazes were enough to sweep through everything. Finally, he found an opportunity. The 8 steels attacked together and shattered the void in front of him. Ha ha! The Dead Soul's Abyss laughed out loud. So, what if his opponent was strong? Anyone who was hit by his illusory spirit, I would die without a doubt. No one could survive. The other side, when they saw this scene, was he hit? What a pity. Lin Wudy was too impatient. If he could be more steady, he might be able to win this battle. Yes, he was too confident in his speed. However, the Dead Soul's Abyss was not weak either. No matter how strong he was, he could not withstand the gazes of the 8 steels. The battle was over. The Dead Soul's tribe snorted. How dare you fight with the number 1 genius of our family? You're courting death. Voices sounded one after another. Shui Linglong and Hun, you were filled with despair. Was it really over? At this moment, there was a loud explosion. In the next moment, a vortex appeared in the sky. A demonic figure walked out from it. It's too early for you to be happy. Do you think you can kill me with such an attack? Lin Xian walked out and looked around. How is that possible? You're not dead? The dead soul's abyss was stunned. The others were also in an uproar. Many people exclaimed, how did he block it? The dead soul's tribe was stunned. Hanya, Xue Linglong, and the others also heaved a sigh of relief. In an instant, countless discussions broke out. Lin Xian stood there and looked ahead. He said, do you have any more trump cards? If not, I can send you on your way. How did you dodge it? The dead soul's abyss's face turned ugly. Lin Xian did not answer. He slapped down with the demon god seal in his hand. Boom! Demonic chi exploded. It was as if a god had descended, shattering the entire world. The dead soul's abyss was sent flying. Countless cracks appeared on his body. He spat out a mouthful of blood and half knelt on the ground. He suddenly raised his head. There was a blood-red light in his eyes. Damn it, that attack caused him to be severely injured. Why, are you in despair? When you attacked catoptric deflection, did you ever think that this day would come? You couldn't find me, so you attacked my friends. I won't let you go. With that, Lin Xian threw another punch. Damn it, I'll fight it out with you. The dead soul's abyss roared furiously and attacked crazily. However, Lin Xian used the 6 Dao fists. With a punch, the 6 paths of reincarnation pressed forward. The dead soul's abyss was blasted flying again. It split into pieces and turned into a bloody mist. The surrounding people were dumbfounded. They couldn't believe it. The dead soul's abyss crazily roared. His shattered body gathered together and fled into the distance. Damnable defeat. Ever since he was struck by the demon god seal, he had suffered heavy injuries and was no longer a match for his opponent. Furthermore, that punch from earlier contained the power of reincarnation. This kind of power made him extremely terrified. More importantly, there was a golden flame on his body. This kind of flame had the power of extreme yang and was his nemesis. Therefore, he no longer dared to fight. Countless people looked at the scene in shock, dumbfounded. Was he defeated again? The dead soul's abyss actually escaped again. They felt like they were dreaming. Previously, the dead soul's abyss fought with a monkey and fled with heavy injuries. They didn't expect that the same situation would happen again. However, this time, it wasn't a monkey, but a human youth. A man named Lin Wudi defeated the dead soul's abyss. This Lin Wudi was probably in danger. That's right. The last time, the monkey was chased by a peak great sage. I think this time, the dead soul's race won't let him off. One after another, discussions sounded. Lin Xian snorted coldly. Don't you think it's too late to escape? Lin Xian naturally knew about the monkey. He wouldn't repeat the same mistake, let alone let the tiger return to the mountain. Taking a deep breath, Lin Xian summoned the great dragon sword soul. He held it with both hands and slashed down. Everything was over. With this sword strike, the entire world was split into 2 halves. Everyone was horrified. What kind of sword technique was this? Retreat. They retreated frantically. At the same time, they were shocked. The power of this sword was much stronger than before. Was this the other party's true trump card? Damn it, block it for me. When the dead soul's abyss saw this scene, his pupils constricted. He felt his hair stand on end. He tried his best to dodge, but he realized that he couldn't dodge this sword at all. Helpless, he summoned a pagoda, Dead Soul's Pagoda. Millions of vengeful spirits bloomed on it, turning into countless shields to block. However, under this sword, they were all turned into ashes. The sword slashed out, and the dragon's roar sounded between heaven and earth. The dead soul's abyss was split in half. This time, the power of the great dragon sword's soul completely destroyed his soul, and he could no longer recover. It was over. Lin Xian put away the great dragon sword soul. His cold voice rang out. The others were shocked and couldn't believe it. What did it mean that it was over? Was this battle over? Was the Dead Souls Abyss defeated? They looked into the distance, but when they sensed the situation ahead, one by one, they cried out in surprise. Dead. They could no longer feel the aura of the Dead Souls Abyss. How was this possible? Exclamations sounded one after another. They could accept the defeat of the Dead Souls Abyss. After all, he had been defeated once before, but the other party was dead. This was too unbelievable. One had to know how powerful the monkey was previously. He pierced through the Dead Souls Abyss, but he didn't have the ability to kill the other party. In the end, he was even hunted down by the powerhouses of the undead race. But now, the Dead Souls Abyss had directly fallen. The power of that sword just now was too strong. This guy seemed to be going to stir up a huge storm. The undead race would definitely not let this matter rest. Everyone was terrified. The undead race roared crazily. Damn it, you actually dared to kill him. You're finished. You're dead. Hurry up and kneel down to accept your death. They had completely gone crazy. The Dead Souls Abyss was their #1 genius, the hope of their family, a powerhouse who would become a great emperor in the future. And their undead race would become an emperor race, sweeping across all directions and standing at the peak of the universe. But now, all of this was gone, because the Dead Souls Abyss was dead. They couldn't accept the fall of such a talented powerhouse with a future. Kill him. Countless people rushed into the sky and charged towards Lin Xian. Lin Xian snorted coldly. 9 suns surrounded him. The flames of the purest yang flew out and swept in all directions. In an instant, many people were ignited and let out miserable screams. At the same time, Lin Xian landed the demon god seal. His hands transformed into 2 large black seals. Wherever they passed, dozens of figures were turned into ashes. Who wants to fight? I'll accompany you to the end. A biting cold killing intent rose. The other people's scalps went numb. The undead race also kept retreating. He was too powerful. They were no match for him at all. This person could take on hundreds of them without a problem. Damn it! The phantom gritted her teeth, and an extremely strange light emitted from her beautiful eyes. Lin Xian looked at the other party and snorted coldly. Why, you want to fight too? Chapter 5044. Eye technique? Seeing the other party's eyes, Lin Xian snorted coldly, and a terrifying light appeared in his eyes. Even the power of reincarnation formed a mountain and directly pressed down. The phantom screamed and retreated. He closed his eyes, and his eyes were bleeding. At that moment, it was as if he was looking at a god. The other party's soul power was too strong, far surpassing his. This sudden scene made the other's hair stand on end. What happened? Just looking at each other. The phantom was seriously injured? One had to know that the phantom was second only to the Dead Souls Abyss and was also a top genius. He couldn't even withstand a single blow. The undead clan roared crazily. They came to the phantom and asked, "Are you okay?" The phantom said, "His eyes are too terrifying. His eye technique far surpasses mine. I'm no match for him. Hurry up and protect me back." The undead clan was terrified and didn't dare to say anything. They quickly fled with the phantom. Was he defeated? The phantom was defeated in a single glance, and the Dead Souls Abyss was mercilessly killed. All of this was done by the young man in front of them. They knew that from now on, the underworld would change. Lin Wudi's name would sweep through everything. Those young warriors looked at Lin Xian and clenched their fists. Their faces were full of excitement and shock. Such a person was a legend in their hearts. Those top geniuses were full of despair. Even the Dead Souls Abyss was defeated by the other party. They were no match for him. They were afraid that from now on, the other party would always step on their heads. Did he really do it? Ling Long Shui couldn't believe it. The 2 saints also gasped. If this boy didn't die, his future achievements would be limitless. He might even be able to compete with the Emperor's son, the legendary Great Emperor Realm. Lin Xian looked in all directions. This time, he finally had a sufficient understanding of his own strength. The Dead Soul's abyss was no match for him. Then he could compete with the real Emperor's son. Dragon Prince, just wait. He was going to return and challenge the Dragon Prince. At this time, he was stunned. He found someone familiar in the crowd. In addition to the people of the illusionary realm, he found Soul Sage, Blood Kill Sage, Strange Soul Cliff, and Linglong Shui. He looked in that direction and nodded slightly. It could be considered a greeting. After all, he had learned 2 monarch divine abilities from there. Is he greeting us? Linglong Shui was taken aback. Father, it really is him. It really was Lin Gongzi. Previously, they still had some doubts, but now they were completely sure. It was the young man they knew who now stood at the peak. The news of the fall of the Dead Soul's abyss spread quickly. In the blink of an eye, the entire underworld knew about Granny Meng of the Bridge of Forgetfulness and the Yama Kings of the 10 Palaces. Countless clans and sects were shocked when they heard the news. Hell was about to shake. At the same time, a new name appeared in their ears. Lin Wuti. What an arrogant name. Who in the world would dare to call themselves invincible? However, the other party did have the right to be arrogant. The reason for that was because it was precisely this person who had killed the Dead Soul's abyss. With a single glance, he had seriously injured the Phantom, who, in the younger generation of the underworld, would be a match for Lin Wuti. They thought of 2 people again. These 2 people were existences on par with the Dead Soul's abyss. There had always been battles between the 2 sides, with each side winning and losing. But were these 2 people really a match for Lin Xian? They all had their doubts. When the undead clan heard the news, they were all stunned. What did you say? They roared crazily. Their clan's number 1 genius had fallen? That was impossible. They felt that someone was joking with them. However, more and more news came back. In fact, the powerhouses of the undead clan personally escorted the Phantom back. They finally broke down. The Dead Soul's abyss had really fallen. His body was cut open by a sword, and his soul was destroyed. Damn it! Countless powerhouses of the undead clan roared crazily. Who killed him? Tear him into pieces. Lin Wuti, I will not let him off. Hurry up and kill him. The other party had the talent of a young great emperor, and had become a mortal enemy of the undead clan. Then they would never allow this person to grow. Those who returned said, Elder, this person was not simple. A peak great sage might not be able to kill him. Hearing this, the surrounding people were shocked. Even a peak great sage could not kill him? Was he already so strong? Those people shook their heads. No, he was like the monkey from before. He had endless trump cards in his hand. He was definitely not a match for a peak great sage. However, it would not be easy for a peak great sage to kill him. If he escaped, they would probably not be able to find him in the universe. It seemed that at least 3 peak great sages and above would be needed. Only by sealing off any hope of the other party's escape would he be able to completely destroy the other party's soul. When these words came out, many people gasped. Was the other party already so heaven-defying? No matter how strong he was still a member of the younger generation. No matter how strong he could not compete with a peak great sage. In fact, he could not even compete with a true great sage. He just had a trump card to escape. If we send 3 peak great sages, we don't believe that we can't kill him. Cold snorts came one after another. The undead clan gathered 3 peak great sages and prepared to attack. However, they stopped because the news once again spread and swept through the world. Soul Sage and the Blood Evil Cauldron jointly announced the news of the Slayer Temple. The content was very simple. It was to announce that Lin Wuti was one of them and was protected by the Slayer Temple. If anyone dared to assassinate him, The Slayer Temple would attack the enemy regardless of everything. When these words came out, the crowd was in an uproar. They did not expect Lin Wuti to be from the Slayer Temple. It was too unbelievable. The Slayer Temple was a powerful organization in the underworld. It was a powerful assassin organization. The assassins inside came and went like ghosts. The top assassins cultivated Emperor-level abilities, Shadowless Heaven's Net, and the Azura sword art. It could be said that they were very terrifying. Were they coming out now to warn the world? Countless people were shocked. They knew that the most important thing was to warn the Undead Clan. Sure enough, when the Undead Clan heard the news, they went crazy with anger. Damn it. Does the Slayer Temple want to be enemies with the Undead Clan? Damn it. Their eyes were red. Kill him. At worst, they would fight the Slayer Temple. They were not afraid of anything. However, at this time, the patriarch of the Undead Clan stepped forward. This was a middle-aged man. His expression was unusually cold. Stop, do not act rashly. Patriarch, those great sages are roaring crazily. Are you not going to make a move? Damn it, they are not willing to accept this. The patriarch of the undead race said. The Killing Temple was different from other sections. They are all top assassins. Once the war starts, our undead spirit clan will face a calamity of extinction, unless we never get out. Chapter 5045. As soon as he said this, the others fell silent. Indeed, the Assassin Temple was very scary, and it was very unwise to be their enemy. Damn it. Were they going to just let it go? The Undead Clan gritted their teeth. They were very unwilling. Were they going to just let it go? Let it go? How could it be? The clan leader of the Undead Clan snorted. He killed our first day here, and we will never let him go. I will contact the 10 Kings of Hell and ask their top assassins to attack. I think they will be happy to do so. I will give them the best reward. And they should also want to compete with the Sand Temple. Hearing this, the eyes of the surrounding people lit up. That's right. How could they forget about the 10 Kings of Hell? This was also a very scary organization. There were many experts in it, and there were also very scary assassins. They even often had conflicts with the Sand Temple. If they spent a lot of money, they could definitely hire these people. At that time, the experts of the 10 Kings of Hell would attack. No matter how strong Lin Wuti was, could he withstand it? Serves him right. This is what he gets for provoking us. The elders gritted their teeth and said, I want him to live a life worse than death. Phantom sighed. At this moment, her eyes were still closed, because until now, she did not dare to open her eyes. She had fought with Lin Wuti before, so she naturally knew how strong Lin Wuti was. Their clan was too naive. Did they think that they could kill him by sending these assassins? To be honest, Phantom did not think so at all. Of course, she did not say anything. Now the clan was in a state of madness. No matter what she said, she could not change the will of the clan. Since this was the case, she could only wait and see. She hoped that there were some hidden experts among the 10 Kings of Hell. This time, they could make a move. Perhaps only then would it be possible. Thinking of this, she clenched her fists. That damned Lin Wuti. She had to kill him and avenge her brother. In Phantom's eyes, monstrous killing intent appeared. The people of the Undead Clan were quickly discussing. On the other side, Lin Xian went back with Lord Hun and the others. After returning, the people of the Sand Temple were also happy. They were very satisfied. After all, Killer Saint Hall was huge. Regardless if it was Hun Saint or Blood Fury Saint, they both belonged to Killer Saint Hall. At this moment, a group of powerhouses from the Killing Temple surrounded Lin Xian and nodded their heads incessantly. Very good. At the same time, the elders asked Lin Xian what kind of divine ability the Black Seal was. Was it the Thearchus divine ability? They even wanted to ask Lin Xian how he had obtained the Arch Mystique. Lin Xian naturally wouldn't tell the truth, so he casually said some things. He even changed the topic. Those elders didn't care too much. Although they also wanted to obtain it, they knew that they couldn't be impatient. They had to take it slowly. Now that Lin Wudi had offended the undead clan, they would definitely seek revenge. Therefore, if Lin Wudi was smart, he would definitely stay in the killing hall and seek help. This way, the other party might stay by their side for a long time. At that time, they would have plenty of opportunities. Therefore, they were not in a hurry. At the very least, they could not let the other party be on guard. Lin Xian naturally knew the killing hall's plan. He snorted in his heart. Although they said that they were protecting him, a very important reason was that they wanted to obtain the Thearcha's inheritance. However, he didn't care. It was better that they weren't in a hurry to make a move because they were wrong. He wasn't afraid of the undead clan's revenge at all. He wouldn't even stay here for too long. He wanted to return to Holy Abyss Ancient City and challenge the Dragon Prince. Next, Lin Xian temporarily stayed in the Sand Sacred Hall. During this time, Xue Linglong and Hanya both came to find him. They even came to ask for advice. Now Lin Xian was like a god in their eyes. Lin Xian didn't reject them, and he gave them advice. The two of them were enlightened, and their eyes shone brightly. "Thank you, Lin Gongzi." The two of them were overjoyed, and immediately went into seclusion after returning. At the same time, they were even more in awe of Lin Xian, because these questions had troubled them for decades, or even centuries. But now, Lin Xian's words could enlighten them. It made them instantly understand. This showed that the other party's strength far exceeded theirs. It was beyond their reach. Lin Xian also closed his eyes and continued to cultivate the Thearcha's inheritance, the illusory demon scripture. On the other side, the undead clan spread the news to the 10 Kings of Hell. The 10 Kings of Hell were 10 huge organizations and sects that covered a very wide area. They occupied many worlds. At this moment, when the news came, they were also shocked. The holy weapon of the undead clan. Oh heavens, was the undead clan crazy? They even took out such a treasure? The 10 Kings of Hell were shocked. They heard a piece of news, which was that the undead spirit clan had issued a bounty. They wanted to hunt down Lin Wudi and use Lin Wudi's head in exchange for the undead clan's legendary weapon, the illusory spirit cauldron. The undead clan had a total of 3 legendary weapons, and the illusory spirit cauldron was one of them. Its power was very terrifying and famous in the underworld. But at this moment, they wanted to take it out as a bounty. It was really unbelievable. That was a sacred weapon, which was much more powerful than an ordinary sacred weapon. Even the existence of the peak of the Supreme Saint would be jealous, because it was an existence second only to the imperial weapon. Even the top families would treat it as a treasure. Most of the families did not even have a legendary weapon. It was simply too difficult to obtain a legendary saint weapon. But now, there was such an opportunity in front of them. If they got one, it was enough to start a family. And it was a top family. The kind of existence that could occupy countless worlds and sweep across all directions. This mission must be obtained. In fact, even the eyes of the pinnacle great sage cultivators turned red. They naturally wanted such a treasure. Lin Wudi? Many people frowned. They had heard of this name, and it could even be said that it was like thunder in their ears, because during this period of time, people were talking about him everywhere. The other party had single-handedly slain the Dead Souls Abyss and made a name for himself in the underworld. This was also why the undead clan would crazily reward him. Although they had not seen that battle with their own eyes, they had all heard of it. The other party was very powerful, and the magic that he used was terrifying. In fact, thinking about it, someone who could kill the Dead Souls Abyss in a head-on battle was definitely not an ordinary person. However, the 10 Kings of Hell had many experts, so naturally, some people did not care. No matter how strong the other party was, he was just a young man. No matter how strong he was, could he be stronger than the experts of the older generation? These experts of the older generation stood at the peak of the sage realm. They were experienced and had fought countless battles. To deal with a young man was a piece of cake. Chapter 5046. Chu Jiang Hall. A man with black lightning revolving around his body smiled when he heard the news. Lin Wuti, legendary saint weapon? I'll take this mission. It's easy to kill him. The sacred weapon is mine. A lady in red walked over and said, Thunderbolt, be careful. This young man isn't simple. He killed the dead soul's abyss. The man surrounded by black lightning laughed after hearing this. It's fine. If I, Thunderbolt Shadow, want to make a move, can he stop me? He waved his hand and pointed into the distance. Do you see that wall? It's built with the heads of sages. When I swept the world, he wasn't even born yet. Thunderbolt Shadow was an extremely terrifying assassin in Chu Jiang Hall. He was also a peerless expert. He had killed so many saints that he couldn't even count them all. It was said that he used their bones to build a white bone palace. The wall at the back was also built with the heads of top-notch sages. The strength of such a person would definitely shock the world. If he targeted someone, that person would be in despair. Thunderbolt Shadow stood up and looked at the lady in red. Go and find me the news of Lin Wuti. Keep an eye on him and see when he leaves Sand Sacred Hall. Lin Xian originally wanted to leave, but there was something that made him stop for a moment. It was Xue Linglong's birthday. 2 days later, it was Xue Linglong's birthday. Many young geniuses were invited. Countless clans and sects came to pay their respects. After all, Xue Linglong was an extremely terrifying genius. His father was the blood fiend saint, who was a powerful saint. Hence, her birthday banquet was exceptionally grand. Xue Linglong naturally invited Lin Xian. If Lin Xian could appear at her banquet, it would be an extremely glorious thing. Lin Xian couldn't reject, so he nodded. 2 days later, he went to the blood fiend sage's residence. He realized that it was really crowded. Countless people came to congratulate him. Lin Xian had encountered quite a number of top-notch geniuses. However, these people were all far inferior to him. After all, the Death Abyss was ranked in the top 5, or even top 3 amongst the younger generation of the underworld. The fact that he was able to kill Qin Yi meant that his strength had entered the top 3 of the top geniuses of the underworld. The others were no match for him at all. When these people saw that Lin Xian had arrived, they naturally exclaimed in surprise. Each and every one of them looked over with gazes of admiration and curiosity. Many young women even came over to greet Lin Xian. Lin Xian released a trace of his aura, which surrounded the surroundings. The strong naturally had the demeanor of the strong. Besides, he didn't want to be disturbed by these people. Hanya also came. He accompanied Lin Xian and introduced many people to him. Lin Xian looked over and nodded slightly. Then he looked ahead. Xue Ling was up ahead. She had specially dressed up today. She was like the goddess of hell, making countless people look up to her. If he was able to marry someone like Linglong Xue, it would probably take 3 lifetimes of luck. Xue Linglong ignored the others and came to Lin Xian's side. She seemed to only have Lin Xian in her eyes. This gaze made Lin Xian laugh bitterly. This girl couldn't have taken a liking to him, right? But it was impossible between them. He wouldn't stay in the underworld for too long. Damn it, the goddess was actually with Lin Wuti. The surrounding people gritted their teeth and clenched their fists. They were furious, but they didn't dare to say anything. Whoever dared to challenge Lin Wuti would be courting death. Lin Xian ignored these hostile gazes. These people weren't his match. Suddenly, he narrowed his eyes. He realized that someone in the crowd had released killing intent towards him. Although it was only for a moment, Lin Xian's soul was extremely strong. He could clearly sense it. Someone wanted to kill him. Who was it? Just because he was standing with Linglong Xue? Impossible. These people knew his identity. They knew that he had killed the Dead Souls Abyss. Who would dare to attack him now? Then there was only one other possibility. It was the undead race. Lin Xian's eyes flashed with a golden light. Did the undead race want to die? He didn't mind sending these people to hell. Lin Gongzi, please. Ling Long Shui invited Lin Xian to the VIP seats. Then she sat beside him. Hanya also sat down. At this moment, a woman came from afar. Her face was red and excited. Lin Gongzi, I really admire you. She held a flower basket in her hand. Lin Gongzi, this is for you. All right, put it here. Hanya knew Lin Xian's attitude, so he said directly. The woman nodded, then put the flower basket on the table and turned to leave. When she left, her lips curled into a mysterious smile. Hanya and the others ignored her. After that, many female saints came to give gifts. The entire table was piled up into a mountain. Of course, during this process, countless young masters came to invite Linglong Shui for a drink. It could be said that Lin Xian's side was very lively. Linglong Shui, Hanya, and the others didn't notice, but Lin Xian frowned slightly. In the next moment, his pupils shrank, and a trace of golden light appeared in his eyes. With a cold snort, the great dragon sword soul in his body circulated, and directly destroyed the trace of aura that entered his body. Then he stared in front of him. On the table, it was the first flower basket. There were some flowers in it, and they were all very precious spiritual herbs. Lin Xian's eyes were cold. He didn't pay much attention to the previous ones. These flowers weren't poisonous, but when a few of them worked together, they could release a kind of poison. It was a kind of toxic mixture. Once it was condensed, the smell would be undetectable. But if a saint absorbed it, they would probably die from the poison. So vicious. Who was this person targeting? It was very likely that they were targeting him. Lin Xian's face was cold. He waved his hand, and a ball of fire burned the flower basket to ashes. In the next moment, he stood up. Linglong Shui and Hanya were stunned. What's going on? Who made Lin Xian so angry? Lin Gongzi. Linglong Shui wanted to say something, but in the next moment, her face paled and she almost fainted. Hanya's scalp went numb. Lin Xian waved his hand, and two dragon-shaped sword energies entered their bodies. It destroyed their poison. Then he said that the first flower basket was poisonous. Where's that woman? Find her. Poisonous. Hanya's pupils shrank. Linglong Shui's expression also changed. No wonder she almost fainted just now. Luckily, Lin Xian was here. Otherwise, they would really be in danger today. Don't worry, I'll send someone to find her. Linglong Shui stood up and gritted her teeth. Lin Xian shook his head. No need. I'll go myself. Today is your birthday party. You're the main character. He's targeting me, and I can deal with him. Chapter 5047. Lin Xian's eyes bloomed with golden light, enveloping the world. Soon, a smile appeared on his face, and he walked into the distance. In a remote corner of the mansion, there was a woman in purple. She was the first person to deliver the flower basket to Lin Xian. At this moment, there was a sneer on her face. What Lin Wudi? He couldn't even detect my combination poison. What kind of top genius is he? Let's see how he dies this time. She was very confident in her methods because she had used this method to kill more than 10 powerful saints. Moreover, those people didn't even know how they died when they died. So this time, in her opinion, it would be no exception. As long as she killed Lin Wudi, she could go to the undead clan to collect the reward. That was a sacred weapon. After obtaining it, she could start her own family and pass it down for 10,000 years. Thinking of this, she couldn't help but feel excited. You want to kill me with your poison? You're too weak. At this moment, a faint voice sounded. The woman in purple's pupils shrank, and she suddenly turned her head. She shouted coldly. Who was it? The next moment, she was stunned. "You're not dead." She saw Lin Xian walking over, and her face turned pale with fright. She took a few steps back. What's going on? Shouldn't he be poisoned? How could he still be alive? And she found him. "I've long discovered your poison. You're too weak if you want to kill me with such a small trick. Did the undead clan find such a person?" The woman in purple broke out in a cold sweat. She thought her plan was flawless, but it turned out that the other party had already discovered it. It was ridiculous that she had fantasized about killing him. "Spare my life." She knelt down and kept kowtowing. The other party was so strong that she was no match for him in a head-on battle. These assassins used sneaky assassination techniques. Now that their assassination techniques had been broken, she really didn't have much choice. "Tell me, how many people do you have? What other tricks does the undead clan have?" Lin Xian asked coldly as he walked forward. At this moment, the purple-clothed woman suddenly raised her head and threw 2 crystal balls forward. There was an extremely terrifying green poisonous gas inside. "Go to hell." The crystal ball cracked open and poisonous gas emerged from within, enveloping Lin Xian. "Ha ha ha, what Lin Wudi? I just used a little trick and you died in my hands. Next, I want to make a name for myself." The purple-dressed woman laughed heartily, but she was soon stunned. His expression even became frightened, and he knelt on the ground again. This time, she was really scared. A sword light streaked across the sky, splitting her poisonous gas into 2 halves. Then Lin Xian walked out. Divine flames were burning on his body. Everything was isolated from the outside world. How could this be? How could the other party be so strong? The purple-clothed woman looked terrified. She had only heard of how terrifying he was, but she had never seen him before. Thus, when she saw this scene, her expression was incomparably gloomy. Lin Xian waved his hand, and the 9 suns' divine fire flew out, transforming into a golden crow that enveloped his opponent. The purple-clothed woman burned in the raging flames and let out a miserable roar. She knew that she was not going to live, but she gritted her teeth and roared. "Lin Wudi, if you kill me, you won't live long either. I'm just the first assassin. After this, more and more assassins will come after you. The 10 kings of hell are full of experts. Even with the protection of the Sand Holy Temple, you won't be able to escape death. 10 kings of hell?" Lin Xian furrowed his brows tightly. He didn't have any grudges with these sections. The purple-clothed woman laughed wildly. "You're too naive. In order to take revenge, the undead clan took out a sacred weapon as a reward. This is enough to cause anyone to go crazy. So just wait for your death." As soon as she finished speaking, she burned to ashes. Lin Xian frowned. The other party had actually taken out a saint weapon of legacy that was truly extravagant. It seemed that countless experts would come to assassinate him next. Humph, the undead clan was haunting him. One day, he would completely destroy them. As for those saints who came to assassinate him, Lin Xian naturally wouldn't let them go. He wouldn't wait passively, but would take the initiative to attack. These people wanted to kill him, so he would kill them first. He wanted everyone to be terrified. At the same time, he wanted everyone to know what would happen if they dared to make a move on him. Lin Xian went back to continue attending the banquet. After the banquet, late night came. Lin Xian stood on a mountain peak. The demonic aura on his body was monstrous, and his golden eyes shrouded the world. At this moment, above the 9 heavens, there was also a pair of golden eyes looking down on the world. Lin Xian was using the heavenly secret divine eye with all his strength. He wanted to detect the existence of those assassins. These saints had terrifying strength, and all kinds of methods were hidden. However, as long as the other party had killing intent, Lin Xian could still find them. After all, Lin Xian's eye technique was terrifying. The heavenly secret divine eye had absorbed enough reincarnation power. It was already beyond the imagination of ordinary people. Under this pair of eyes, nothing could be hidden. Lin Xian's face immediately turned gloomy. He did not expect that there would be so many assassins around. The number of assassins shocked him. If it were not for the news he received today, he would probably never have a day of peace. But now, Lin Xian was ready to attack. Lin Xian slowly formed a seal with his palms. He used one of the Emperor's abilities in the demon summoning scripture, Shadow of the Demon. It was an existence that could create millions of doppelgangers in an instant. Lin Xian created 100 doppelgangers, and each of them was like a demon. Then they flew in all directions. In a valley, a towering tree swayed with the wind. At this moment, a demon-like figure descended, and then slammed his palm towards the ancient tree. The ancient tree was split into pieces, and it roared crazily. Who was it? This ancient tree was also a terrifying assassin. He roared crazily. He hid very well, but he did not expect that he would be discovered instantly. And this person's strength was beyond imagination. Naturally, this was one of Lin Xian's doppelgangers. With a wave of his hand, the 9 suns' divine fire flew out and burned the ancient tree. Soon, the ancient tree disappeared into thin air. Not only that, but Lin Xian's 100 doppelgangers also attacked in all directions. One by one, the assassins were killed by him quickly. Lin Xian's real body also made a move. Inside the 7-story pagoda, the aura was majestic, and the array formation was flickering. A man was holding an array formation in his hand, and he kept shaking it. The array formation recorded a few images. If one looked closely, they would find that the figures on the array formation were all Lin Xian. This person was also a terrifying assassin. He was studying Lin Xian. For these assassins, killing in one blow was the best. If they missed the opportunity, it would be difficult to succeed in the future. Every time, he would study the enemy like the back of his hand. It was an old man. He was wearing a wide black robe, and under the black robe was a skeleton body. His entire body was a skeleton, and he had cultivated to become a sage. Chapter 5048. The old man was very famous. He was called the Iron Hand Skeleton. His assassination methods were very powerful. At this moment, beside the Iron Hand Skeleton, there were not only records of formations, but also various scrolls. They were all about Lin Xian. I'm definitely not a match for a top-notch genius in a head-on battle. However, if it's an assassination, the other party might not be able to dodge it. It seems that his physique is very strong, but I can kill him with my soul. Thinking of this, the corners of his mouth curled up. With a wave of his hand, he took out a large black cauldron. There was a flying knife floating inside. The flying knife was engraved with runes and surrounded by countless resentful spirits. There was also this terrifying blood water. Spirit Slayer's sword. I spent all my wealth to get you. I hope you won't disappoint me. This was a very terrifying forbidden weapon that specialized in slashing people's souls. No matter how strong the opponent was, if he was hit by the Spirit Slayer's sword, his soul would probably be destroyed immediately. Holding the Spirit Slayer's sword in his hand, the old man smiled proudly. However, at this moment, the void split open, and a sword light streaked across, stabbing directly at the old man. Suddenly, the old man's head flew up. How is that possible? The old man was shocked. He tried his best to turn around, trying to see who the other party was. In the next moment, he saw it clearly. A black figure, like a demon, was his target. Lin Wudi. Is the gap so big? The old man's eyes were filled with despair. He had the Spirit Slayer sword, but he didn't have the chance to use it. He was killed by the other party's sword. Lin Xian walked over and snorted coldly. He used the Shura sword skill in that attack, just now. Kill with one sword. The other party couldn't resist at all. At this moment, the old man died. The black cauldron beside the old man kept shaking, and there was a terrifying aura inside. It seemed like it was about to fly out. With a whoosh, a terrifying blade light slashed across, slashing at Lin Xian. Lin Xian also felt his hair stand on end. So terrifying. These assassins really have powerful trump cards. No one in the middle stage of the Supreme Saint Realm could resist this blade. Even a sage would be shocked and have their hair stand on end. Lin Xian harumphed coldly. The power of reincarnation appeared in his right eye and transformed into a mountain that crushed down. After suppressing the Spirit Slayer blade, Lin Xian grabbed it and erased the soul on it. What a terrifying weapon. It specialized in destroying souls. It was a good item. With a wave of his hand, Lin Xian sealed it with his soul imprint and put it away. He did not attack again. Instead, he carefully sensed his surroundings. At this moment, the 100 doppelgangers were moving swiftly. Even though they were just doppelgangers, they were still extremely frightening. Therefore, those assassins were no match for him. In the blink of an eye, tens of thousands of assassins had fallen to these clones. That should be enough. After all, so many saints of the underworld had perished in a single night. That should be enough to topple the entire underworld. Everyone in the underworld was shocked and terrified. Lin Xian was just about to leave when he suddenly froze. He felt another aura. Then he looked up at the sky. Was there anyone else? Moreover, this person had hidden himself so well that he hadn't noticed him for a while. He knew that he had been a little careless. Previously, he had only explored the ground. He did not expect someone to be hiding in the sky. Humph! Once I've dealt with you, it should be even more shocking. Lin Xian's body swayed. He used Shadowless Heaven's net and disappeared without a trace. When he made his move, some experts in this territory frowned. The Blood Fury Saint stood on top of the pagoda. His eyes flickered. What a terrifying soul power. Just now, he seemed to have felt a pair of eyes in the sky looking down at that power. That made him extremely shocked. Was he the one who attacked? The Blood Fury Saint thought of a person. That person was Lin Wudi. Only Lin Wudi would have such terrifying strength. Although this young man was younger than him by a few thousand years, his strength was too terrifying. However, his strength was truly too terrifying. It wouldn't be long before he would be able to catch up to him. What made him even more shocked was that Lin Wudi was only a king sage. He wasn't even a great sage. Yet he could make him feel shocked. If Lin Wudi were to become a great sage, how terrifying would his strength be? He would probably be above him. Not only him, but other than him, there were also some top-notch great sages who were extremely shocked. There were even some top-notch geniuses who were unconvinced previously. They thought that the fall of the Dead Souls Abyss was due to carelessness. If they were to fight seriously from the start, they might not lose to Lin Wudi. But now, they realized that they were too naive. Just this soul power alone was enough to sweep through everything. They reckoned that with Lin Wudi around, they would never be able to stand out in the underworld. At that moment, there was a cloud floating in the sky. There were faint flashes of lightning on it. Such a thundercloud wouldn't attract anyone's attention normally, because it would soon float into the distance. But at that moment, the thundercloud kept rolling and transformed into a human face. Damn it, why do I have an uneasy feeling that I'm being watched by someone? It shouldn't be. With my means, even a great sage wouldn't be able to find out who I am easily. This thundercloud was none other than Pili. He could transform into a thundercloud and float in the sky. This way, he could hide his identity. Once he found his target, he would launch a thunderbolt attack and strike down directly. One hit, one kill. It could be said that his means were superb, but at that moment he felt uneasy. It was as if something was about to happen. Thinking of this, his body swayed, and he prepared to float to another place. You want to leave? Don't you think it's a little late? A faint voice sounded in the sky. It made Ingpilai's body stiffen. Who is it? He looked in all directions. The next moment, he found a man in a black robe in front of him. His body was full of demonic aura. Who are you? Ingpilai was stunned. Lin Xian laughed. You came to kill me, but you don't even know who I am? It's you? Ingpilai was shocked and couldn't believe it. Was this his target, Lin Wudi? He took a closer look and sucked in a cold breath. The other party was too young, even younger than he had imagined. Moreover, the other party indeed only had the aura of a great sage. Could such a person really kill the Dead Souls Abyss? He didn't quite believe it. However, the other party could easily find him and block his way. It was enough to show that this young man hid very well. Kill. Since he had encountered him, there was nothing to say. He was very tempted by the sacred weapon. He must kill the other party. Endless black thunderbolts struck forward, splitting open one black hole after another in the void. With such a terrifying attack, the other party would definitely die. As long as the other party dodged, he would immediately use his backup plan. However, the other party didn't dodge at all. Ingpilai snorted. He was scared to death. He thought he was some kind of expert. It turned out that he was just an idiot. Didn't he even know how to dodge? But soon he realized that he had thought too much. It wasn't that the other party didn't know how to dodge. The other party didn't even bother to dodge. A fist blasted over, directly shattering the lightning in the sky. Then, a palm descended like the sun, causing his body to crack open. Chapter 5049. Damn it, the other party was too strong. He was terrified and fought back. After 3 moves, he completely lost his temper. Powerful and invincible, this was his evaluation of the other party. He knew that he was no match for him in a head-on battle. He could only escape now. His entire body turned into mist and fled in all directions. He snorted coldly. Lin Wudi, although you are strong, you don't understand us assassins at all. If we want to escape, you can't stop us. In the blink of an eye, he had already fled millions of miles away. Ing Thunderbolt heaved a sigh of relief. Damn it, he was careless this time. It seemed that he had to make a good plan when he went back. Just as he was thinking, a black bolt of lightning flashed behind him. It was faster than him. Lin Xian had black wings on his back, and he easily tore through the void. He was fearless in a straight line. In an instant, he was behind Ing Thunderbolt. Don't you think you are a little naive to compete with me in speed? A faint voice sounded. Ing Thunderbolt turned around and was scared out of his wits. Damn it, how could it be? It was the first time he had seen someone faster than him. He ran again. He accelerated again. However, after 3 times, Lin Xian could easily catch up with him. The 3rd time, he was directly in front of him. He stopped him. Then he threw a punch over, and the entire void was completely shattered. The phantoms of 6 worlds charged towards him, causing his blood to boil. He vomited large mouthfuls of blood. Damn it, the thunder shook the world. Ing Thunderbolt roared. The thundercloud he turned into covered the sky and earth, directly swallowing everything. Let's see how you will die in my thunder domain. Ing Thunderbolt's voice sounded from all directions. At this moment, the entire sky had completely turned into a thunderstorm. The violent aura was enough to crush everything. Lin Xian's body was covered in a golden light. Golden runes flickered as he resisted. At the same time, he took out a flying knife, the Soul Cutter. Previously, he had just obtained it. Do you think I won't be able to find you if you hide? Go. Lin Xian activated the Soul Cutter. The Soul Cutter flew out and turned into a ray of light. It directly charged into the depths of the thundercloud. Puff! The blade light flashed, and a scream was heard. Damn it, it's the soul-severing saber. How did you get your hands on something like that? He let out a terrified roar, his expression unwilling. He remembered that the soul-severing saber had been obtained by an extremely terrifying old man. Why was it in Lin Xian's hands? Could it be that that person had also fallen? He had no chance to find out. The power of the soul-slashing blade was unparalleled. Back then, the iron-handed skeleton had spent all of his wealth to buy it. Now, it was truly powerful. With a single slash, he sliced apart Shadow Cleave Force's soul. Thunder Shadow had fallen. The thunder clouds that filled the sky also slowly disappeared. Lin Xian stood there and waved his hand, causing the soul-severing saber to fly out. Lin Xian's eyes flickered as he narrowed his eyes. Forbidden artifacts could not be used for long periods of time. The soul-severing saber could probably be used 3 more times. It would be torn apart. However, he didn't mind. With his strength, it would be easy for him to kill the other party. Therefore, he did not rely on these at all. He left. Lin Xian's figure disappeared into the void. He left, but the entire underworld went crazy. When the sun rose the next day, countless people were shocked. They discovered that tens of thousands of assassins had been killed. Among them were the iron-handed skeleton, and even top experts like Thunder Shadow. Who did it? To be able to kill so many experts in such a short period of time was definitely not something that one person could do. Was it the Assassin Temple? Countless exclamations and discussions sounded. It was no longer a secret that the 10 Kings of Hell had come to assassinate Lin Xian. However, they didn't expect that these people would be completely annihilated in less than a day. Was the Assassin Temple already so powerful? They didn't know that this was the masterpiece of Lin Xian alone. If they knew, they would probably be scared silly. What was going on? Even Thunder Shadow had perished? He had killed too many experts. It was said that he had built a palace of white bones, made entirely of the bones of saints. Not only that, he also had a wall formed by the heads of top-tier saints. Such a person was so powerful. Even if he couldn't kill Lin Wuti, it wouldn't be a problem for him to leave calmly. But now the other party had actually fallen. Was it Lin Wuti who did it? Some people shook their heads. No matter how strong Lin Wuti was in the face of the elusive assassin, he was helpless. It must be someone from the Assassin Temple who made the move. I'm guessing that it might even be the Soul Sage or the Blood Slaughter Saint who did it. They were the only ones who could kill Ing Thunderbolt without alerting anyone. When the 10 Kings of Hell received the news, they were also greatly shocked. The experts inside also made a similar analysis. In their opinion, it should be a sage-level existence who made the move. Otherwise, it would be impossible for Lin Wuti to kill so many experts in such a short period of time. Damn the Assassin Temple. For a young man, they would do anything to start a war with the 10 Kings of Hell. Damn it. The 10 Kings of Hell gritted their teeth. They probably wouldn't make a move so easily in a short period of time. They had to investigate carefully and make a detailed plan. Only then would they be able to carry out the next attack. When the Undead Clan found out, they were so angry that they vomited blood. Damn it, they had already taken out a sage weapon as a reward. But the result didn't seem to be what they wanted. That Lin Wuti was actually still alive, and his reputation was growing. Now, not only did the geniuses of the underworld acknowledge him, but even the assassin saints were afraid of him. Damn it, this kid has the Assassin Temple behind him. It was difficult to touch him. They had to make him leave the Sand Temple, or make the Assassin Temple stop supporting him. Under the Undead Spirit Clan's relentless investigation, they finally found a clue. That was the original top genius of the Assassin Temple, Yin Tianfeng, who had accidentally fallen in the underworld. At that time, Lin Xian had also been there. There might be some connection between the two. Even if there wasn't, they would make up 10,000 connections. Quickly invite the experts of Granny Meng's lineage. The Undead Clan paid a huge price to invite an elder of Granny Meng's lineage. They went to the first level of the underworld and came to the place where Yin Tianfeng had fallen. Granny Meng's lineage had a powerful ability, and that was Granny Meng's soup. It could forget some things, and it could also restore the previous scene. At this moment, the elder they invited was from Granny Meng's lineage. He was an extremely terrifying elder. He looked over and narrowed his eyes. I can help you restore the scene, but I'm not sure how much I can restore. Before that, you have to give me the things you promised me. Understood. The elder of the undead clan gritted his teeth. Among them, the elder waved his hand and took out 2 treasure boxes and handed them over. One was a 50,000-year-old spiritual herb, and the other was an azure stone. Chapter 50-50. Elder Meng didn't care about the 10,000-year-old spiritual herb at all and put it away. Instead, he looked at another stone. The ancient stone was placed on the ground and looked inconspicuous. No one would care about it. But at this moment, Elder Meng looked as if he had obtained a treasure. The Shura stone was a stone brought out from the Shura ruins. It contained a trace of the Shura race's power. Rumor had it that the Shura race might be related to time. Therefore, the Shura stone naturally had a mysterious power. If he could study it carefully, he might be able to improve his laws and cultivation. How could he not be excited? He put away the Shura stone. He nodded in satisfaction. All right, I'll help you reconstruct what happened more than 10 years ago. He waved his hand and took out 4 bowls of Meng Po's soup and placed them in 4 directions. Then he began to form seals with his palms. This was an ancient sacrifice. It was very complicated. The entire process lasted for 3 days. In the end, Elder Meng respectfully poured the 4 bowls of Meng Po's soup on the ground. As the Meng Po's soup fell, endless dreamlike fragments appeared in all directions. Then, they quickly condensed. In the next moment, images appeared one after another. There were people in the images. The elders of the undead spirit race looked carefully. They realized that there were 2 figures in the images. One of them was the dead Yin Tianfeng. The other was none other than Lin Xian. Great Lin Wudi and Yin Tianfeng had indeed met. What happened next? They carefully examined the images. It was very blurry. After all, this was back in the past. It contained a trace of the power of time. Although the Meng Po's lineage was powerful, it was impossible for them to completely recover. Therefore, there were only some fragments. But even so, they still managed to capture a little. In one of the fragments, it was the scene of Lin Xian attacking Yin Tianfeng. Seeing this scene, the elder of the undead spirit race looked up to the sky and laughed. Ha ha ha, great, he was really too happy. With this evidence, it was enough to make the Killing Temple and Lin Xian fall out. At least, he would definitely take revenge for killing the core elder of the Killing Temple, because Yin Tianfeng was the grandson of the core elder, Elder Yin. As for this Elder Yin, she would definitely take revenge for this grudge. At that time, Lin Xian might come out to kill the temple, and that would give them a chance to assassinate him. Thank you for your help this time. The first elder of the undead spirit clan looked at Elder Meng gratefully. Then they used a formation to record these scenes and immediately returned. Next, they contacted Elder Yin of the Killer Temple. At first, Elder Yin didn't believe it. However, Elder Yin's expression turned ugly when she saw the flickering fragments in the array. He gritted his teeth and said, "What if it was you who did it?" The great elder of the undead spirit race said, "How is that possible? This matter was handled by the elders of Granny Meng's lineage. You can ask him. You should know what Elder Meng is capable of. He could reconstruct the events of the past, even though it was just fragments. However, it was obvious that Yin Tianfeng's death had something to do with Lin Wudi. Damn it." Elder Yin gnashed her teeth. His eyes were red, but he said coldly, "Although Lin Wudi is my enemy, He is still a genius of the Assassin Temple. His death won't benefit the Assassin Temple. You want me to do it? You want me to be a sinner of the Assassin Temple? The first elder laughed. Elderine, you think too much. You don't need to do it. You just need to lure that guy out. When the time comes, we'll do it. Besides, is that guy really willing to stay in the Assassin Temple? Do you think he's willing to serve the Assassin Temple? I don't think so. Looking at his cultivation and aura, he's not from the underworld at all. One day, he'll leave. Besides, didn't the Een family put all their hopes on Een Tianfeng? The undead spirit clan can understand your pain. Our top geniuses have all died, and they all died at the hands of Lin Wudi. Only by killing him can we take revenge. Elder Een nodded. Okay, I'll join forces with you. The two sides reached an agreement. Next, they would join forces to assassinate Lin Xian. Elder Een went back to discuss with her family. Many people's faces were cold, and they decided to take revenge. Some people frowned. He was now at the peak of his power. If they took action, the Assassin Temple wouldn't agree. Then they would think of a way to lure him out. At that time, the undead spirit clan could take action. They were prepared to choose the safe method. Under Elder Yin's control, the Assassin Temple sent out a mission to Lin Xian and the others. More than 50 people set off together, and Lin Xian was one of them. When Lin Xian found out about this mission, his eyebrows knitted together tightly. This mission was very long. It could be as short as 30 years, or as long as 100 years. He didn't have that much time, so he directly refused and looked at the Soul Sage. Soul Sage, I may have to go out, so I won't accept this mission. The Soul Sage said, Okay, I'll tell you. The Soul Sage reported this news. When Elder Een and the others heard this, they frowned, and one of them sneered. It seems that the undead spirit clan was right. This kid doesn't want to serve the Assassin Temple at all. In fact, I think he will leave in a short time. How about this? You contact the Deputy Temple Master and say that you found Lin Wudi wanting to leave the Assassin Temple. At the same time, we'll send people to follow him secretly. As long as he leaves, we'll have evidence. At that time, we can take action against him. Elder Een sent people to keep an eye on Lin Xian. Lin Xian did want to leave, and his action was completely under the control of Elder Een and the others. Immediately, those elders started to laugh coldly. Now that they had evidence, Elder Een immediately led people to go. An overwhelming number of experts surrounded Lin Xian. Elder Een said coldly, Lin Gongzi, where are you going? You're leaving without saying goodbye? Don't you know the rules of the Assassin Temple? You've broken the sect's rules. Men, take him down. 6 experts walked out. They held chains in their hands and shrouded the front. It seemed that they wanted to completely envelop Lin Xian. In an instant, the chains came to Lin Xian's side. There was an extremely powerful sealing power on them. Lin Xian's face darkened. He shouted coldly and burned the divine fire, shattering the chains. He stomped his foot, and a terrifying solar storm swept out in all directions. The 6 experts vomited blood and flew backward. Their faces turned pale. It was too terrifying. You dare to disobey our orders? Do you want to betray the Assassin Temple? Elder Een shouted angrily, but he was ecstatic. Great, the other party dared to attack directly. Then he had a reason to kill him on the spot. Lin Xian's face was cold. Hearing the other party's name, he should be related to Een Tianfeng. Could it be that the other party knew that he killed Een Tianfeng? Chapter 50-51. Kid, how dare you resist? Do you want to die? Elder Een and the rest were shocked by the power that Lin Xian displayed, but they were overjoyed. That way, all of them would have a chance to make a move. As expected, several elder-level figures made their moves and charged at Lin Xian. Lin Xian's face was cold. He knew that the other party must have gotten hold of some evidence, which was why they attacked him. It seemed like he couldn't stay in the underworld any longer. Anyway, he was ready to leave. He might as well leave. His body swayed, and a pair of black wings appeared on his back as he flew into the distance. He disappeared in the blink of an eye. What a fast speed! Eldarine and the rest were shocked and quickly gave chase. They also used Shadowless Heaven's net to chase after him. Shadowless Heaven's net. The great Emperor's divine ability allowed him to appear and disappear unpredictably. When Eldarine and the rest used it, it was extremely powerful. However, it was a pity that they were flying in a straight line. No matter how strong they couldn't catch up with Lin Xian's demon god's wings. Damn it! Quick, inform the undead spirit race. Eldarine and the rest roared and sent out the news. When the undead spirit race's great elder heard the news, he rushed over with an overwhelming number of people and blocked the path ahead. Only then did they stop Lin Xian. Kid, where are you running to? How dare you kill our family's #1 genius? Do you think you can escape? Cold yells came one after another. They were emitting a murderous aura. There was the undead spirit race in front, and the assassin temple behind. It could be said that Lin Xian was in an extremely dangerous situation. Lin Xian stood in the void, with an unusually cold expression. With so many people, not to mention him, even if it was anyone else, they wouldn't be able to leave. This was also the reason why the other party sneered. The news spread out. When the Assassin Temple heard about it, they were in an uproar. The Blood Fury Saint and the Soul Sage frowned. The Assassin Temple wanted to attack Lin Xian. Damn it, what's going on? They quickly went to find out that it was Eldarine who did it. Is Eldarine crazy? The Blood Fury Saint roared. The Soul Sage Monarch was also brimming with killing intent. He was even prepared to intervene. However, at this moment, a piece of news spread. Lin Xian killed Yin Tianfeng. Elder Yin's revenge was a personal grudge, and no one else was allowed to interfere. Furthermore, the news was spread by the Vice Palace Master. Damn it! Hanya and Shui Linglong gritted their teeth. Blood Fiend Saint sighed. His eyes flickered, but he didn't make another move. Father? Linglong Shui shouted. If we don't act now, young Master Lin will really be finished. Sigh. The Blood Kill Saint sighed. The Vice Palace Master has personally given the order, and it is not something that you and I can go against. Lin Gongzi could only resign himself to fate. After saying that, the Blood Kill Saint went into seclusion. On the other side, when the Soul Sage Lord received the news, his face turned cold. Hanya asked, Father, what should we do? The Soul Sage Monarch thought for a moment, then said, I'll leave Soul to you. He took out a token and at the same time summoned the people of Soul. He said coldly, Brothers, if I'm not around, please take good care of you. Father, Saint. Countless shouts rang out. Hanya stood out and said, I'm willing to fight with Father. The people of Soul also raised their arms and shouted, swearing to follow the saint to death. All of you, the Soul Sage Monarch took a deep breath. All right, follow me. He brought Hanya and flew into the distance. He was going to support Lin Xian. When he arrived, the aura between the two sides was even colder. The arrival of the Soul Sage Monarch caused countless people to turn their heads. The Soul Sage Monarch shouted coldly, Eldarine, what do you want? Soul Sage Monarch, you're here too, but it's useless. This kid will definitely die today. If you watch from the side, we won't do anything to you, but if you dare to help this kid, I'll destroy your soul. A cold voice sounded. Lin Xian also turned his head. Senior, there's no need to take the risk for me. The Soul Sage Monarch shook his head. I'm very disappointed in the Killer Temple. They don't even protect a genius like you. Young man, I think highly of you, so I'm prepared to help you. As he spoke, he brought those people to Lin Xian's side. Since they don't know what's good for them, I'll fulfill their wish. The people of the undead race roared. Their eyes were already red. Kill. With a roar, these people attacked fiercely. A great battle broke out. In an instant, flames burned the sky, laws danced, and lightning fell. In an instant, a terrifying power shook the surroundings. At this moment, countless people sensed it. They looked up at the distant sky and gasped. Who was fighting a great battle? Such a terrifying scene. They only dared to watch from afar. They didn't dare to get close at all. This battle was very scary. Although Lin Xian had Soul Sage Monarch and the others on his side compared to Eldarine and the people of the undead race, the difference was too great. The difference was more than 10 times. It was even a difference of 20 times. Lin Xian appeared and disappeared like a ghost. With the Azura sword art, each sword could pierce through hundreds of saints, but it was still useless. These people seemed to have gone mad as they attacked nonstop. Lin Xian roared. He didn't hold back. The heaven-devouring jar appeared, and the great dragon sword soul swept in all directions. The battle was abnormally intense. The undead race actually took out a legendary saint weapon. A small cauldron shook heaven and earth. The great elder controlled the small cauldron to contend with it. Eldarine launched a sneak attack and seriously injured Soul Sage Monarch. The people of the Soul Sage Monarch were also seriously injured. Lin Xian's eyes were red. He attacked recklessly. The heaven-devouring jar was thrown into the ground by him and crazily devoured the power of heaven and earth. The great dragon sword soul transformed into a true dragon and swept out. Under his reckless attack, the entire world exploded. Damn it! What is this thing? Why do I feel an extremely powerful aura? Run! The great elder went crazy, and Eldarine was also frightened. They led the remaining people and fled. They knew that with this weapon it would be difficult for them to kill the other party. The great elder roared. Go back quickly and ask at least 5 peak great sages to come. Although the other party was strong and had the protection of an extreme Dao, he didn't have much strength left. At present, he could only protect himself. If they sent 5 peak great sages, they would be enough to suppress the other party. At that time, everything the other party had would be theirs. In an instant, the great elder fled with dozens of people. Elder Yin's side was in an even worse state. She only managed to escape with a dozen people with serious injuries. As for the rest, tens of thousands of people died here, turning this place into a hell of Azura. A sea of blood surged into the sky. Soul Cliff roared. Father! At this moment, Soul Sage Monarch was seriously injured and on the verge of death. Lin Xian's face was pale, and countless cracks appeared on his body. He looked unusually ferocious. The others were all injured. This battle was a narrow escape for them. Lin Xian formed hand seals and used the longevity indestructible technique. A sword armor formed, enveloping everyone like a mountain. It provided a powerful vitality. Then he looked at Soul Sage Monarch. Chapter 5052. Han Xingjun's aura was very weak. He said, I'm afraid I can't make it. Lin Gongzi, please help Ye in the future. Lin Xian shook his head and said, No, don't worry, you won't die. His eyes flickered as he took out a 10,000-year-old spirit herb from the Sword World's 4-Spirit Valley. With a wave of his hand, he appeared in the void and swallowed it. Your injuries should be much better. Han Xingjun glanced at it and shook his head. No need. Lin Gongzi will have to trouble you. I know my own injuries very well. You also walked over. He said, Lin Gongzi, we have already swallowed a lot of heavenly treasures for Han Xingjun. They were all made of 10,000-year-old spirit herbs or even 20 to 30,000-year-old spirit herbs. But it was useless. Her meaning was very clear. The 10,000-year-old spirit herb that Lin Xian took out would definitely not have any effect. However, Lin Xian laughed. How would you know if you don't try? Hanya, give it to your father. Hanya took it and said, Father, take it. It was Lin Gongzi's kind intentions. Han Sheng-jun swallowed the 10,000-year-old spirit herb, but he didn't have any hope. But when he swallowed it, he was stunned. What was going on? He was dumbfounded because he felt a powerful life force enveloping his body. Was this really a 10,000-year-old spirit herb? He looked at Lin Xian in disbelief. Lin Xian nodded. That's right, 10,000-year-old spirit herb. Father, how do you feel? Hanya, Yu, and the others also walked over and asked with concern. Han Xingjun said, What a strong medicinal power. I can feel my injuries quickly recovering. Thank you, Lin Gongzi, for saving my life. Yu Tingho was also stunned. What? A 10,000-year-old spirit herb cured Han Xingjun? This was too unbelievable. How could he know that Lin Xian took out a 10,000-year-old spirit herb? It was a 10,000-year-old spirit herb that grew in the Sword World. The Sword World was formed by the power of many worlds. In addition, the world itself was incomparably miraculous, so the 10,000-year-old spiritual herbs that grew here, it was comparable to the 50,000-year-old spirit herbs outside. Coupled with the fact that he had swallowed a large number of pills, this set of pills was comparable to a 50,000-year-old spiritual herb. Thus, the Soul Sage Monarch's condition immediately improved. However, if he wanted to fully recover, he would need to recuperate properly. Lin Xian smiled. Senior, you are too polite. It was you who brought people to save me from danger. I should be thanking you. Lin Xian was very grateful for the man's actions. There were many people who would add flowers to a brocade, but the real help was to provide timely help. Moon and the others were stunned. This Lin Gongzi in front of them had shocked them to the core. Previously, when they were on a mission with Lin Xian, they had thought that Lin Xian was a coward who was afraid of running away. But now, it seemed that this was not the case at all. Lin Xian had displayed his formidable strength and was able to take out such a miraculous elixir with just a raise of his hand. The other party was like a cloud of fog that made them unable to see clearly. This young man in front of them probably had more trump cards than their holy army. The Soul Sage Monarch's complexion recovered a little. He asked, What are you going to do next? It won't be long before they come for you. We have to leave quickly. Lin Xian nodded, and the group flew into the distance. But not long after, an extremely terrifying aura appeared between heaven and earth. The 5 pinnacle great sages of the undead race had joined forces. They stood above the 9 heavens. At this moment, the people of the underworld were alarmed. Heavens, what happened? The undead race had sent out 5 pinnacle great sages. It was said that they wanted to kill Lin Wudi. Countless shocked voices rang out. Elder Een and the others were also secretly observing. They believed that the other party was definitely dead this time. Not good. The Soul Sage Monarch was in despair. Moon Soul Cliff and the others were also pale and trembling. They couldn't withstand such a lineup, let alone 5 pinnacle great sages. Even a single pinnacle great sage was enough to wipe them all out. Given the current situation, there was no doubt that they would die. Are we going to fight? Lin Xian probed the power of the sword world and then took a deep breath. With his trump cards, whether it was the heaven-devouring jar or the great dragon sword spirit, it was impossible to defeat the other party if he went all out. But if he wanted to escape, it shouldn't be a problem. In that case, let's fight. Lin Xian took a step forward, erupting with an extremely sharp light. Facing the 5 pinnacle great sages, he was still fearless. Undead race, I will remember you. When I return in the future, I will definitely destroy the 4 spirits race. You think you have a future? Ridiculous. The 5 pinnacle great sages in the sky snorted. They looked down as if gods were looking at ants. Today, none of you will be able to leave. Once the 5 pinnacle great sages attacked, they would definitely not let them live. Attack. The 5 pinnacle great sages were like 5 gods. Their aura swept across the 9 heavens. At this moment, heaven and earth shattered. The sole sage monarch and the others couldn't resist at all. They could only retreat and vomit blood. An endless black vortex appeared beside Lin Xian. He roared angrily and was about to activate the power of this world and take out his strongest trump card. However, at this moment, there was a giant hand in the sky, shrouding down. It directly enveloped the 5 pinnacle great sages. "Who is it?" The 5 pinnacle great sages roared angrily. Their fists soared, an endless divine light pierced through the 9 heavens. He fought against the hand of the heavens. A loud voice rang out. Everyone retreated. Lin Xian also frowned. Was there a change? He didn't act rashly. Instead, he retreated to a distance to watch the battle. "Who dares to interfere in our business?" The undead race roared crazily. The battle just now had shocked them. At this moment, another figure appeared in all directions. There were 10 figures standing above the 9 heavens. Each of their aura was no weaker than the 5 pinnacle great sages. Those who were watching the battle from afar exclaimed, "These were the 10 Yama kings." Oh heavens, they actually appeared as well. Were they also here to capture Lin Wuti? Countless exclamations rang out. Lin Wuti alone was enough to make the entire Earth prison go crazy. Whether it was the pinnacle great sages or the 10 Yama kings, they were all the top figures in Earth prison. The members of the Dead Spirit clan furrowed their brows tightly. 10 Yama kings, what do you mean? Are you going to help this kid? King Qingguang said coldly. Someone asked us to protect young Master Lin's safety. That's right. Emperor Songdi also nodded. The other 10 Yama kings stood out one after another, claiming to protect Lin Xian. This caused everyone in the underworld to be stunned. Heavens, what's going on? Even Lin Xian was stunned. What's going on? The 10 Yama kings had sent countless assassins to assassinate him. But now, the leaders of the 10 Yama kings wanted to protect him. They didn't even hesitate to become enemies with the undead race. Damn it, why? The undead race's experts roared crazily. They were all crazy. Although they were strong, they couldn't start a war with the 10 Yama kings. Chapter 50-53. Han Xingjun and the others were stunned. Lin Xian was so influential that he could get the 10 kings of hell to come out together. They looked at each other, feeling incredulous. Lin Xian was also stunned. Suddenly, his heart skipped a beat. Could it be old Xia? He had come to the underworld with Xia Zhuyo. Later on, Xia Zhuyo had left after recovering some vitality. Now that such a scene had happened, Lin Xian thought about it. It must have something to do with Xia Zhuyo. In front, a peak great saint of the undead spirit race gritted his teeth and asked, "I want to know who could get all of you to come out together?" Even if he died, he wanted to know the reason. King Qingguang said coldly, "It was a senior, an existence that you can't afford to offend." The pupils of the undead spirit race's experts shrank. They knew that it was impossible to kill Lin Xian today. It seemed like they could only find another opportunity in the future. He snorted and waved his hand. "Let's go." The 5 great saints turned and left. The experts of the undead spirit race retreated. Those who were watching the battle from afar were stunned. They didn't expect that a certain death situation would be resolved once again. The 10 kings of hell looked at Lin Xian. Lin Xian cupped his fists and thanked the seniors for helping. King Qingguang smiled. "Young man, you don't have to thank us. We were entrusted by others. Goodbye." The figures of the 10 kings of hell slowly disappeared between heaven and earth. "Lin Gongzi, you have such an identity? Why didn't you say so earlier?" Hanya and the others heaved a sigh of relief. You, on the other hand, grumbled. Lin Xian smiled bitterly. "To be honest, I didn't know that such a situation would happen. All right. Seeing the puzzled look in their eyes, Lin Xian waved his hand and brought them away. When they arrived at a safe place, he asked, "Next, I'm going to leave the underworld. The world is vast, and I'm not afraid of the undead spirit race. Besides, I'm not from the underworld." Speaking of this, he looked at Han Xingjun and the others. "But what about you? You're from the underworld. The undead spirit race won't let you go. Besides, the Killing Sage Hall will probably make a move on you too." The Soul Sage Lord took in a deep breath and looked at the surrounding killer saints. He said that he had implicated them. "Sage, please don't say that. You usually take care of us like this. At the crucial moment, we naturally have to follow the sage. You also said, 'Sage, what do you think we should do?' We follow the sage." Soul Sage Lord stood up, looked into the starry sky, and sighed. Although the underworld was terrifying, it was still only a galaxy in the universe. Aside from the underworld, I also want to experience the vastness of the universe. After that, he looked at Lin Xian and said, "I'm willing to follow young master to the ancient primeval city." Lin Xian was equally shocked. Although the Soul Sage Lord and the others weren't at the pinnacle of the great sage realm, they weren't weak either. Moreover, these people were all assassins and had all kinds of assassination methods. If he could use it, it would be an extremely terrifying force. His divine union needed this kind of power. Lin Xian's voice was sonorous as he said solemnly, "If Senior wishes to follow me, I will not let you down." "Good. From today onwards, we will respect young master." The Soul Sage Lord said solemnly. You and the others sucked in a breath of cold air. Respect Lin Wuti? They didn't dare to believe it. Although Lin Wuti was strong now, he couldn't beat a sage. However, the Soul Sage Lord had his own thoughts. His current strength was indeed stronger than Lin Xian's, but so what? He was a sage, while Lin Xian was only a sage ruler. How many realms were there between the two of them? If Lin Xian became a great sage, his strength would probably surpass the Soul Sage Lord's. Therefore, following a young, great emperor like Lin Xian wouldn't be at a disadvantage. On the contrary, he would have supreme glory in the future. All right, there's no time to lose. Let's go. Lin Xian took out the Black Earth. With a wave of his hand, he led everyone onto the spirit ship. Then he slowly left. The news about the 5 pinnacle great sages, Lin Wuti, and the 10 kings of hell spread quickly. In an instant, the news spread throughout the entire infernal realm. Countless people were shocked. Unexpectedly, the 5 pinnacle great sages couldn't do anything to Lin Wuti. In the end, the 10 kings of hell had to give him face. It was unbelievable. At the same time, a legend began to spread in the underworld. It was about the younger generation. Previously, the number 1 of the younger generation had been changing places. It was either the Dead Souls Abyss or 2 other people. But now, it was no longer these people. Instead, it was replaced by a new name. It was Lin Wuti. Lin Xian's previous battle results directly pushed him to the top. Countless people looked at the list in shock. Lin Wuti? This was an existence that they would look up to in their lifetime. Even the 2nd and 3rd place could only admit their inferiority. At the same time, another piece of news came. It was about the most dangerous people in the underworld that they could not afford to offend. Apart from those terrifying and famous sect masters and patriarchs, another young name appeared on the list. That was Lin Wuti. Provoking him was equivalent to offending the 10 kings of hell. Who dared to provoke such an existence? When the Dead Souls race heard the news, they were shocked. There was even a trace of despair in their eyes. It would be harder for them to take revenge in the future. A pinnacle great saint gritted his teeth and said, "Yuan Heir had a fiancée when he was alive. Go and pass the news to her." The people of Assassin Divine Palace were also shocked. Especially the Deputy Palace Master. His face was extremely gloomy. At this moment, he hated Elder Een to the core. The things that Elder Een had told him previously made him feel that Lin Xian was dispensable. He could even kill him easily. But now, the strength and value that Lin Xian had displayed were too great. But they had become enemies with him. Even the soul sage, the entire soul-killing sage, had left and disappeared. This was a huge loss to the Assassin Divine Palace, but they could not be angry. They could only sulk, Elder Een, and the rest felt their scalps go numb. They did not dare to return for a short period of time. They could only wait outside. The Deputy Palace Master's anger had subsided. When the Blood Fury Saint heard about this, he was also stunned. Lin Xian had such an identity and background. Ling Longshui looked at her father and sighed. From the looks of it, his father seemed to have missed out on a great opportunity. An opportunity to follow the young great emperor had been missed just like that. News and legends about Lin Wuyi spread throughout the entire underworld. Until many years later, Lin Xian was still a legend. Holy Abyss, Ancient City. The 3 great orthodoxies would have new geniuses enter every year. The new generation would replace the old. Now, in the past 10 years, some top geniuses had risen. Their cultivation was not strong, but their strength was frightening. Some had super strong bloodlines. Some had great opportunities and obtained heaven-defying weapons. There were also people who could use terrifying lost techniques. In short, these people stood out and defeated some of the older geniuses. Dao's sect. At this moment, the situation had changed greatly. The Dragon Palace, which had been silent back then, shone brightly once again. They displayed the power of an overlord, sweeping in all directions, especially the divine union. Chapter 5054. Previously, the Dragon Palace had been suppressed by Lin Xian and the Divine Union, especially during the Grand Meet. They were so suppressed that they could not even lift their heads. Later on, the Dragon Prince was poisoned by the Great Dao, and the situation was very dangerous. The Dragon Palace had been in despair for a time, and their morale was at its lowest. However, the situation had changed. The Dragon Prince had obtained the Sacred Tree of Life, and his injuries had healed. His cultivation had even improved by a level. Now, he was almost at the top of the Holy Gulf Tower. It was said that the people in the nest of 10,000 dragons were preparing to crown the Dragon Prince. Once they succeeded, the Dragon Prince would be the second top genius to be crowned king. At that time, the other party would not be weaker than Kunpingzi, and the Emperor-Road battle might even be brought forward. The Dragon Prince's strength made the Dragon Palace dazzle again. Over the past decade, the geniuses had joined the Dragon Palace, wanting to follow the Dragon Prince. Today was another day for the 3 great orthodoxies to recruit geniuses. The entire holy distant ancient city was very lively, and countless young geniuses had entered. The 3 great orthodoxies had also sent people to recruit them. On the heaven sect side, a beautiful woman in white stood there, attracting countless gazes. Young master, I see that you are outstanding and have an extraordinary expression. Why don't you join the heaven sect's test? The woman in white looked over and saw a figure in the crowd. He walked over with a smile on his face. The surrounding people were stunned, and for a moment, many people said with red faces, "I'm willing to join the heaven sect's test." Very good. The woman in white smiled, and then stared at the figure in front of her. What about you? The man in front of her looked young and handsome, and he was dressed in a black robe. He did not have a terrifying aura, but his eyes were very determined. Based on the woman in white's experience, he was definitely an expert. Lin Xian looked ahead, narrowed his eyes, and sighed. Oh, it was time for the 3 great orthodoxies to recruit geniuses again. It really made people sigh. He had been away for more than 10 years, and he wondered how those people were doing. Hey, our senior sister is talking to you. Those from the heaven sect were unhappy. Lin Xian was surprised. He looked at these people and said, "You don't know me?" A young man asked, "Who are you? Are you famous? Why should we know you?" Even the woman in white was curious. Lin Xian sighed. From the looks of it, these people must have joined after he left for more than 10 years. He had probably only heard of Lin Wudi and Mad God, but had never seen them in person. That was probably why she didn't recognize him. Thinking of this, he said, "Thank you for your kind intentions, but I want to return to the Dao sect." Dao sect. Hearing this, the smile on the woman's face disappeared. Those from the Sky sect also frowned and walked away. Said someone coldly, "Humph, another naive guy. Did he really think that the Dragon Prince could be crowned king?" This guy definitely wanted to follow the Dragon Prince, but it was too late, even if the Dragon Prince was crowned king. So what? Our Kuan Pengzi in the sky had already succeeded more than 10 years ago. Now, his strength was even more unfathomable, far beyond what the Dragon Prince could compare with. These people from heaven were very angry. Because of the Dragon Prince, all the geniuses who had participated in the test in recent years had gone to the True Path sect. The number of geniuses recruited by Heaven Central was much less than before. That was why they had come out this time to rope in those young geniuses. But by the looks of it, the results didn't seem to be good. Lin Xian also heard the discussions of these people and narrowed his eyes. He followed the Dragon Prince? What a joke. But he didn't say much. Just wait and see. There was bound to be a battle between him and the Dragon Prince. Leaving this place, Lin Xian walked towards the Dao sect. The Dao sect was indeed crowded, with countless geniuses waiting there. Everyone's eyes were filled with excitement. When Lin Xian arrived, some people said, "Brother, line up behind. You're late. You have to stand behind." Voices rang out one after another. Some people even said, "Brother, how should I address you? Hey, what are you talking to this guy about? Is this guy famous?" His aura didn't seem that strong. Some people looked at him in disdain. Lin Xian, on the other hand, walked straight ahead. Under the angry gazes of countless people, he came to the front and continued to walk forward. "Hold it!" The guards in front blocked the path, and the people behind sneered. "Is this kid stupid? Who does he think he is? Wants to go in directly? That's right. The test hasn't started yet. He'll definitely be beaten back." These people looked like they were watching a show. Lin Xian was speechless. Why didn't he come back for so many years? Even these people don't recognize him anymore? He waved his hand and took out a token. "I'm from the Dao sect." Everyone was stunned, and the smiles on the faces of the people who were sneering at them also disappeared. The two guards in front quickly bowed after seeing it. "Greetings, senior brother. Please forgive us, senior brother. We just joined the Dao sect recently." They recognized that Lin Xian's token was the one from more than 10 years ago. This was obviously their senior brother. Lin Xian nodded. "Don't worry." Then he walked in. The people behind gasped, "Damn, this guy is from the Dao sect. This is our future senior brother. I was almost fooled by him. Luckily, I didn't offend him. Otherwise, I would be dead." These people were scared. They didn't expect Lin Xian to have such a terrifying identity, even though he didn't have any aura. The eyes of the young girls turned red. "He's so handsome. Why didn't I chat with him just now? Maybe he can take me in. I heard that the Dragon Palace is holding a martial arts grand competition. I wonder if the test will end early after we enter. I don't want to miss such a grand competition." Some people felt it was a pity. When they wanted to look for Lin Xian, they found that Lin Xian had already entered the Dao sect. After entering, Lin Xian found that it was also very lively inside. After asking around, he found out that the Dragon Palace was holding a martial arts grand competition. They invited all the geniuses in the ancient city to discuss the Dao. It seems like they want to crown the Dragon Prince and build momentum in advance. They can't wait anymore. Looks like I have to speed up. Lin Xian took a deep breath. He found a secluded place. He formed a seal with his palm. Demon's shadow. He used a great magic to form an avatar. The avatar was dressed in a black robe and surrounded by black qi. Lin Xian gave the token to the other party. His real body turned into a flash of light and disappeared. He wanted to go to the Holy Gulf Tower. With his current strength, it wouldn't be difficult for him to reach the peak of the Holy Gulf Tower. Coronation? He wanted to let everyone know that the Emperor's son could do it. He could do it too. He could even do it better. Lin Xian's avatar walked toward the Dragon Palace. He wanted to see how magical the Dragon Palace's martial arts grand competition was. Chapter 50-55. The Dragon Palace was unusually lively. Countless geniuses had already arrived. Some of them were outstanding, while others had terrifying auras. Some gathered together to chat. Some even exploded with terrifying killing intent the moment they saw each other. Obviously, they had been enemies before. However, they didn't attack directly. After all, they had come to the Dragon Palace and had to respect the Dragon Clan. So, both sides snorted and retreated to the side. Among the many geniuses, there were a few who were extremely dazzling. One of them strode over. He was majestic and powerful, and his eyes shone with terrifying light. Countless people looked over. This person was none other than Long Ao. As the second genius of the Dragon Palace, his strength and talent were also terrifying. He was second only to the Dragon Prince. At this moment, Long Ao exuded the aura of a dragon god. Beside him was a beautiful woman, Lan Ziyu. Her aura had also undergone an earth-shattering change. Because she had followed Long Ao, she was qualified to enter the core area and receive guidance from the Path Sect elders. So, she was now considered a top expert of the Dragon Palace. The Blue Clan had also arrived. They looked at Lan Ziyu and nodded in satisfaction. Because of Lan Ziyu, they had completely allied with the Dragon Palace. Even their status and identity had changed. All of this was because of Lan Ziyu. They had already appointed Lan Ziyu as the young master of the Blue Clan. He would take over the Blue Clan in the future. This time, not only the Path Sect and the other primeval clans, but also the Sky Sect and the Earth Sect. On the Sky Sect side, 5 people walked over. They were 5 brothers, and their auras were terrifying. Each of them carried a long sword on their back. The biting cold sword intent made everyone's scalp tingle. Swordsmen of the Sky Sect? These 5 were extremely famous top swordsmen. Each of them had strong individual combat strength. When the 5 of them worked together, they could form a terrifying killing sword formation. Challenging those of a higher level was a piece of cake. The Earth Sect's people had also arrived. For example, the Overlord and others had also arrived. It could be said that this gathering was a gathering of people. Lord Wu Dao of the Yi clan had arrived. A voice came from outside. Countless people turned to look. Was Wu Dao here? He was also a top genius. His status was no less than Long Ao's. So, countless people paid special attention. Long Ao also personally went out to welcome him. Leaf Daudenier's aura was even more terrifying than before, making him seem like a young Grand Emperor. His every move made the others feel fearful. Even Long Ao squinted his eyes. This guy definitely cultivated the Great Emperor's ancient scripture. He wondered what level he had reached in his cultivation. Thinking of this, he felt a burst of envy. Because of the Dragon Prince, no matter how talented he was, it was impossible for him to cultivate the complete ancient scripture. He could only cultivate 1 or 2 of the Great Emperor's divine abilities. But Leaf Daudenier was different. The Leaf clan had no imperial son, and as a top genius, he was qualified to cultivate the ancient scripture of the earth. This kind of treatment indeed made Long Ao's eyes red with envy. Young Master Yi, A rare guest. Long Ao laughed. Leaf Dowdenier nodded and walked in. Of course, he hadn't come alone, but rather had brought a few people with him. When he saw these people, Long Ao's face became a little gloomy. This was because the people following Yi Wudao were from the Divine Union, Crimson Dragon, Toad, by Susu, Fu Hongya. These people had followed Lin Xian back to the Bronze Immortal Hall. Later, Lin Xian had stayed in the underworld for a long time, and these people had discussed returning together. What are you looking at? Haven't you seen a handsome guy before? Toad snorted coldly. The others were also in an uproar. The people of the Divine Union actually dared to come out. I think they are here to die. Someone sneered. Long Ao was instantly enraged. He stared at these people and said coldly, "Men, take them down." The surrounding experts of the Dragon Palace stood up one after another, and a terrifying aura swept across the 9 heavens. The Crimson Dragon roared. He had never been afraid of anyone. He also roared, and dragon blood appeared. Yi Wudao said with his hands behind his back, "Is this how the Dragon Palace treats its guests? This is a martial arts conference. You invited all the geniuses in the world, right? Why can't they come?" The tolerance of the Dragon Palace is too small. When these words came out, countless people were in an uproar. Yi Wudao was indeed on the side of the Divine Union. Long Ao's face was also cold. "Young Master Yi, this is the Dragon Palace, not your Yi family's territory." Yi Wudao's eyes shone brightly. "Are you warning me? Then let's see if you are qualified to warn me." Yi Wudao took a step forward, and the power in his body exploded. At this moment, everyone felt like their bodies were about to split open. Long Ao's face also changed. Yi Wudao had not shown any aura before, but once he used this power, it made his scalp go numb. However, he was also a top expert with the ancient body. How could he be afraid of Yi Wudao? Moreover, his cultivation had improved over the years, and he had even cultivated the mystique of the great emperor. Naturally, he was not afraid of Yi Wudao. "Then let me experience young master Ye's ultimate skill." Long Ao exuded a terrifying killing intent. The others were also shocked. Was the battle going to be brought forward? "Stop, Long Ao. Let them in." In the distance, an old man walked out. It was an elder of the 1,000 Dragon Court. This gathering was a gathering for them to build momentum for the Dragon Prince. Bringing forward the battle before it even started would have a bad impact on them. Therefore, they stopped the battle directly. "Yes, old Zhang, I understand." Long Ao nodded. He also knew the importance of this gathering, so he did not dare to be presumptuous. He snorted coldly. "You guys can go in. Yi Wudao, the battle between us is only temporary. There will be a battle sooner or later." Yi Wudao walked past him and said indifferently, "My target is not you, but your Dragon Prince." The crowd was in an uproar. Indeed, martial artists also wanted to go down the path of the great emperor. However, Long Ao's face turned ugly. Was Yi Wudao looking down on him? Damn it, he would not let Yi Wudao go if he had the chance. Yi Wudao and the others were invited in and sat down. The others also took their seats. The elder of the 1,000 Dragon Court walked out and said with a smile, "Thank you all for coming to the gathering of the dragon race. Let me give you a toast." The elder took out a spirit wine and drank it in one gulp. Since the elder was being polite, the other geniuses did not dare to be careless and drank. Elder Long of the 1,000 Dragon Court smiled. This gathering was to tell everyone that the Dragon Prince will be crowned soon. The Dragon Prince of our Dragon Clan will be crowned king soon. I hope everyone won't miss such a grand occasion. Countless people were surprised. Although they had heard the news before, it was still shocking to hear it from the elder of the dragon race. Had the Dragon Prince reached the pinnacle? It was faster than they had imagined. Those from the Sky Sect frowned. It seemed that Kunpingzi was going to be challenged again. Chapter 5056. At this moment, someone sighed. It seemed that the Dragon Prince would rule the world in the future. As soon as that was said, many people nodded. It was indeed true. Of course, there were also people who refuted that it was too early. The Dragon Prince was powerful, but was Kunpingzi weak? He had been crowned king earlier than the Dragon Prince. Countless people nodded. It seemed that the two princes would have a competition in the future. Lin Xian naturally came too. He sat down in the crowd. At this moment, he was also surprised. No wonder the Dragon Clan had been arrogant recently. He wondered what realm the Dragon Prince had reached. Had he broken through to become a supreme saint? He was now a saint king, so were Yi Wudao and the others. Even Kunpingzi and the Dragon Prince were only at the peak of the saint king realm. They had not become supreme saints. Once he became a great sage, his strength would undergo an earth-shaking change. Whoever broke through first would be able to surpass others in advance. However, the Dragon Prince and Kunpingzi's bloodline was too strong. The stronger the bloodline, the harder it was to break through. So, they had not broken through yet. Yi Wudao and Long Ao also had the ancient desolate body. Lin Xian had the 9 yang divine body and the dragon sword soul. It was not easy for him to break through. However, although they were all saint kings, their strength was stronger than ordinary intermediate supreme saints. They were geniuses who could fight above their level effortlessly. At this moment, a swordsman in the sky said, "Everyone was talking about the Dragon Prince, but where was he? Why didn't he come out? Could it be that he looked down on people like us?" Yes, that's right. The people of the Dragon Clan were too rude. They wanted to cheer for the Dragon Prince, but the Dragon Prince did not come out himself. A few cold snorts were heard, shocking the surrounding people. They looked carefully and found that the people who spoke were from the Heavenly Sect. Obviously, the Heavenly Sect wanted to suppress the Dragon Palace. Long Ao and the others frowned. Even the elders of the Dragon Palace stopped smiling. However, at this moment, he looked up at the sky and sneered. "Everyone, the Dragon Prince you want to see is here." As soon as he said that, the surrounding people looked up at the sky. The sky was extremely calm, but in the next moment, the wind and clouds surged. Countless dragon shadows flew over from afar, spanning tens of thousands of miles. On top of those dragon shadows, there was a figure standing tall and straight, incomparably terrifying. He was like a dragon god, descending upon the 9 heavens. At this moment, everyone could feel the suppression of their bloodlines, causing their blood to freeze. His soul was about to split open. It was the Dragon Prince. He really came. Oh my God, the bloodline of the monarch, the aura of the supreme Tao. The Dragon Prince's cultivation of the monarch's ancient scripture has improved again. Most likely, he wasn't too far away from achieving a breakthrough to become a great sage. Exclamations were heard one after another. People like the tyrant and the Heaven Sect swordsmen clenched their fists. Leaf Dowdenier took a deep breath. Obviously, he was feeling a lot of pressure. Long Ao's expression was also solemn. He originally thought that his years of cultivation would be able to reduce the gap between them, but now it seemed that the gap between them had widened again. Was the Dragon Prince someone he had to look up to all his life? His heart was filled with despair. At this time, a swordsman from the Sky Sect walked out and said, "As expected of the legendary Emperor's son, Dragon Prince, I would like to experience the Emperor's ultimate technique." As he spoke, he swung his sword. With a clang, the long sword cut through the void like lightning. This sword was like a peerless divine sword that slashed into the 9 heavens. The surrounding people were shocked. Was he going to attack the Dragon Prince? It was too unbelievable. The people from the 1000 Dragon dynasty sneered. Facing this peerless sword, the Dragon Prince lowered his head and looked. His eyes burst out with a bright light, and his gaze turned into a sharp blade light that swept over. With a clang, the sword was split in half. Not only that, the sword saint who attacked also vomited blood and was sent flying. The armor on his body was shattered, and blood burst out, dyeing the 9 heavens red. Everyone looked at this scene with their mouths agape. He was too strong. The swordsman who attacked was a top powerhouse among the younger generation of the Sky Sect. His strength was unparalleled, and there were not many people present who could contend against him. But now they couldn't even block a single gaze from the Dragon Prince. Was this the difference between them and the Emperor's son? Thinking of this, they all felt despair. It was really sad to be in the same era as such a person. The Dragon Prince looked down and asked calmly, "Are you qualified to fight me?" Damn it! The injured swordsman's face turned pale. Was he being ignored? This was a feeling that he had never felt before. But that gaze just now was too terrifying, and it easily pierced through his body. Even if he attacked with all his strength, he wouldn't be a match for him. The other 4 walked over and asked, "Are you okay?" The 5 of them formed a sword formation together, but they probably couldn't fight against him. He was too strong and invincible. That was what everyone was thinking. The people from the Dragon Palace walked out and said, "Don't even think about fighting against our prince. The Dragon Prince is famous. His opponents are only the other emperors. For example, Kunpingzi, the others are no match for him. Not to mention the Dragon Prince, you can't even defeat our Dragon Prince. Our Dragon Prince has the ancient desolate body, and his strength is unparalleled. He can defeat all of you with one attack." The Dragon Prince they were talking about was naturally Long Ao. Indeed, not to mention the Dragon Prince, even Long Ao, there were not many people who could contend against him. That was the ancient desolate body, a body that was as famous as Yi Wudao and the others. It seemed that the rise of the Dragon Palace was unstoppable. The future would definitely be the Dragon Clans. Voices sounded one after another. It seemed that they had to make friends with the Dragon Clan in advance to plan for the future. The people from the Dragon Palace laughed proudly. This feeling was really good. The Dragon Prince was Long Ao, and he seemed to have been trampled under the feet of others. "What are you proud of?" A sneer sounded, and it spread clearly in all directions. The surrounding people were stunned, and they all gasped. "Who is it? How dare you say such words?" The people from the Dragon Palace roared. "Who is it? Get out! How dare you challenge our Dragon Palace? Do you want to die?" The voice sounded again. "What? Am I wrong? Has he never been defeated before?" I remember that he was defeated by others in the Tao sect sacred assembly. At that time, countless pairs of eyes saw it. Are you trying to hide the truth? Ridiculous. Nonsense. Get out. The people from the Dragon Palace began to search frantically. At this time, the Crimson Dragon snorted coldly. "You are the ones who are laughing. He was indeed defeated by Lin Xian." "That's right. I remember that his clone was killed by Lin Xian as soon as he appeared. Later on, his real body appeared, but he was slapped to the ground by Lin Xian. He is no match for our divine union. What is there to be arrogant about in the Dragon Palace?" Chapter 5057. Damn Ant. What did you say? The people from Dragon Palace roared. Long Ao's face darkened. He had indeed been defeated by Lin Xian. However, no one dared to mention this matter. Now someone had brought it up again, especially when so many geniuses were gathered together. That was a slap to his face. He stood up and said coldly, "Two ants come over. I'll slap you to death." "Ha ha!" Toad sneered. "How impressive. Why don't you slap Lin Xian instead? He would probably be slapped to death by Lin Xian." Bai Susu snorted. "You were defeated by Lin Xian. Shouldn't you challenge him? What's the point of challenging us?" The others were also discussing animatedly. Yes, when discussing the geniuses of the world, besides the Dragon Prince Kunpeng Zi, Yi Wudao, and Long Ao, they seemed to have forgotten about one person. That was Lin Xian. He was called Invincible Lin. His strength and methods were beyond their imagination. Long Ao had been defeated by him back then. He should be a super expert below the emperor's level. Lin Xian. Hearing this name, Long Ao gritted his teeth. The people from Dragon Palace were also filled with killing intent. It was this person who had suppressed their Dragon Palace back then. Lan Xiu stood up and said coldly, "What Lin Xian?" He was already gone. There had been no news of him for more than 10 years. He had already fallen outside. The Blue Tribe's elder nodded in agreement. That's right. A dead genius was nothing. Even if he was once dazzling, he had no future. The people from Dragon Palace sneered. Where is this Lin Xian you're talking about? Does he dare to come out? If he does, I'll slap him to death. That's right. Long Ao snorted. Lin Xian, that coward, hasn't dared to come out for more than 10 years. He must know that I've become stronger, so he doesn't dare to come out. It was an accident that I lost to him back then. I wasn't in my best condition back then. Otherwise, how could I have lost? Now that I'm at my peak, if he dares to come out, I'll destroy him in 3 moves. Long Ao displayed great confidence. The members of the Divine Union gritted their teeth. Even the Crimson Dragon sighed. After so many years, they really didn't have any news about Lin Xian. They were even worried that something might have happened to Lin Xian. However, before leaving, the Crimson Dragon had specifically asked for a soul aura from Lin Xian and made it into a soul card. At this moment, there was nothing wrong with the soul plate, which let them know that Lin Xian's life was not in danger. It was just that he was delayed by something outside. However, the others didn't think so. They guessed that Lin Xian might have fallen. What a pity! Brother Lin and I are about the same level of cultivation base. If you want to fight, I'm more than happy to oblige. If you can beat me, that means you can beat him. Do you dare? As soon as these words were spoken, the surrounding people were shocked. Was Leaf Dowdenier going to stand up for Lin Xian? It was too unbelievable. Long Ao's face also darkened. Do you want to die? I'll fulfill your wish. He had to fight today to show his powerful strength. Otherwise, these people would really think that he was a pushover. Long Hao Ao took a step forward. The aura of the dragon on his body roared, and the whole world shook. The people of the Dragon Palace were very confident. Long Ao had failed before, but so what? He was now a different person from more than a decade ago. Now he had no opponents under the Emperor's sun. Even if the opponent was Leaf Dowdenier, they were still fearless. Today was a grand event specially arranged by the Dragon Palace to build momentum for the Dragon Prince. Now that someone had challenged them, they had to be ruthlessly suppressed. They had to let them know who was in charge in this place. Everyone was excited. Could they see a fierce battle in advance? That was great. Leaf Dowdenier also stood up and was ready to fight. However, at this moment, a voice rang out. Was there a need to use the sacred body of the ancients to deal with such trash? I can do it. As he said that, a figure walked over. The surrounding people went crazy. God, who was this? How dare he say that Long Ao was trash? Long Ao was a top genius. If he was trash, then what were the others? Weren't they worse than trash? What an arrogant tone. Countless people turned their heads to look, wanting to see who was so arrogant. Even Leaf Dowdenier was stunned. He also turned his head to look. The Crimson Dragon, the Toad, and the others also turned their heads. In the next moment, they saw a man in a black robe, surrounded by demonic chi, walking over. Was it him? The Crimson Dragon and the others frowned. They thought that Lin Xian had returned. The others were also puzzled. Who was this person? Was he a top genius of the ancient city? Was he an expert of the 3 orthodoxies? It didn't seem like it. Who are you, kid? How dare you challenge me? Tell me your identity and origin. I'll see if you have the right to be arrogant here. Why waste time talking to him? Just kill him. A powerhouse of the Dragon Palace made his move. With a dagger in his hand, he instantly appeared behind Lin Xian. With a wave of his dagger, he split the void in half. The surrounding people exclaimed, "What a fast speed! What a ruthless killing method!" They saw the black-robed man's figure being split apart. The Dragon Palace expert sneered. "What kind of expert is he? He can't even block one of my attacks." As soon as he finished speaking, he was stunned. He found that the split figure was slowly disappearing. Lin Xian appeared on the other side. "You can't even keep up with my speed, and you dare to assassinate me? Is the Dragon Palace full of trash? What? Was that just an afterimage?" Countless people were in an uproar. When did this guy dodge? They were really shocked. Some people's pupils shrank, while others exclaimed. This was an expert. The Dragon Palace expert's face was cold. "Damn it, go to hell." He was about to wave his dagger again, but Lin Xian sneered. "I only said a few words of truth, and the Dragon Palace wants to kill me? Then, if I were to defeat Long Ao, wouldn't all of your elders cover the sky and cover the earth to hunt me down? It seems that this battle is not necessary." "Stop," Long Ao roared, and the Dragon Palace expert stopped. He gritted his teeth and returned unwillingly. Long Ao said coldly, "My Dragon Palace is upright. Since when would we do such a despicable thing? Just attack. The elders of the dragon race will definitely not attack. I don't believe in a despicable person like you." Lin Xian looked at the elder of the Thousand Dragon Dynasty. That elder's face was cold. "Why would we care about the sparring of the younger generation? There are so many geniuses here. Are you going to question my Dragon Palace?" Lin Xian smiled. "Since the elder of the dragon race has spoken, I will naturally believe him." He looked forward and said, "Long Ao, you are too pitiful. Kneel down and kowtow to me now, and I will spare you this time. Otherwise, if you are defeated by me again, I am afraid that your martial heart will be shattered." Chapter 50-58. These words made everyone stunned. Could it be that this guy thought that Long Ao would lose? Although his speed was fast, a battle was not just about speed. And no matter how fast he was, could he be faster than Long Ao? He did not know the immensity of heaven and earth. Cold laughter rang out. The surrounding people kept shaking their heads. Long Ao laughed. Ao also laughed. "You don't have the right to ask me to admit defeat. Kid, do you think you can compete with me just because you're fast? Too naive. Are you naive? You'll know after we fight." Lin Xian stretched out a finger and shook it. "Come on, don't waste my time." "Stupid thing." Long Ao instantly appeared behind Lin Xian. "My speed is also very fast. I'm practicing dragon steps. Can you block it?" Long Ao slapped down, smashing the black robe into pieces. "It's over." The corner of his mouth raised into a smile. The surrounding people also exclaimed. As expected of the strongest person under the emperor, he actually ended the battle with a slap. "You're really ignorant. I've said it before. Is the Dragon Palace all trash like this? Everyone is so arrogant. You can't keep up with my speed." Lin Xian's voice rang out from the side. The others were stunned. They turned their heads and shouted in fear. "He didn't die. He dodged again. Damn it, what kind of movement technique is that? Why didn't I notice it at all? How is this possible?" The people of the Dragon Palace also looked as if they had seen a ghost. Even Long Ao frowned, and his expression became stiff. Previously, he said that he would kill the other party in one move. Now, the other party was alive, and he did not notice it at all. This was already a ruthless slap to his face. How embarrassing. Long Ao was so angry that his entire body trembled. Lin Xian walked over and said indifferently, If you want to compete with me in speed, you can cultivate for another 100 years. Before his voice fell, Lin Xian had already arrived at Long Ao's side and slammed his palm over. How is that possible? Long Ao said fiercely. The other party's speed was too fast. It was so fast that he could not even react. Boom! Long Ao Young Tian roared in anger. His fists danced, shattering the void, forming an endless black hole, blocking the attack. The next moment, he roared at the sky like a dragon god. Kid, you've completely angered me. The others also cried out in surprise, displaying their true strength. Dragon Dao Divine Fist. The black-robed man was unlucky. That's right. So what if he was fast? In the face of absolute power, everything was futile. Go to hell. Long Ao punched out, destroying heaven and earth. At this moment, the space around Lin Xian was completely shattered. The invisible force was like a cage, preventing all escape. Not good, the Crimson Dragon, and the others were worried. They were now very sure that the black-robed man was Lin Xian. It was just that in these 10 years, Long Ao was indeed not the same as before. Could Lin Xian stop him? Boom! An even more terrifying power surged out, transforming into a black sun that advanced courageously. It directly collided with the dragon fist. The sound of heaven and earth shattering rang out. Long Ao was shaken to the point that he kept retreating. His arm was numb. What was going on? Was he pushed back? The others looked at this scene with their mouths agape, unable to believe it. The people from Dragon Palace also exclaimed. This was impossible. They felt as if they were dreaming. The cracks in the sky disappeared, and they saw the black-robed man in front of them slowly retracting his palm. Just now, it was the other party who pushed him back. Long Ao. Damn it. This guy is not only fast, but his strength is also so terrifying. How is this possible? What pill did you eat? How can your strength be so strong? Long Ao roared, crazily. Lin Xian laughed heartily. Ignorant, and you don't even know what power is. Forget it. You're too weak. You're not qualified to be my opponent. Is there anyone stronger in Dragon Palace? Lin Xian looked around. At this moment, everyone was shocked. They knew that the person in front of them was an expert. Previously, they were disdainful of the other party's arrogance. But now they knew that the other party had the capital to be arrogant. The Crimson Dragon, and the others were excited. Lin Xian had returned, and his strength had become even stronger. Humph, let's see if Dragon Palace still dares to be arrogant this time. Damn it, I haven't lost yet. I was careless just now. Long Ao roared, crazily. It's just 2 moves. I'm only at a disadvantage. What right do you have to call me trash? I'll be serious next. 3 moves. Within 3 moves, I'll destroy your soul. Are you sure you want to destroy me in 3 moves? If you want to fight to the death, I'll accompany you to the end. Lin Xian's eyes shone with an extremely cold light. He was no longer the same person as before. Although it was just a clone, it was an emperor's ability. Even the clone had 70% of his strength. In addition to this clone, he could use all of Lin Xian's abilities. Other than a few powerful trump cards, he had none. Everything else could be used. Therefore, Long Ao was not his opponent at all. In front, the elder of the Thousand Dragon Empire frowned. She felt that something was wrong. The black-robed man in front of her was very strange. The few techniques that he displayed, whether it was his movement technique or strength, were all ridiculously strong. It was very likely that he was a top-notch expert, so she was worried for Long Ao. He said, "Stop, we're just sparring." "Stop?" Lin Xian nodded. "That's right. You're probably afraid that he'll die, right?" He then looked at Long Ao and said, "Scram back. Your elders are afraid that you'll die, so they don't dare to let you fight." "What did you say?" Long Ao roared crazily. He was so angry that the other party was looking down on him again. Lin Xian snorted coldly. To be honest, although you're a genius, that's only to ordinary people. In my eyes, you're really not a genius. What Dragon Prince, the second genius of the Dragon Palace? Everything is just an illusion. You'll always be trampled under the feet of the Dragon Prince, and you'll never be my opponent. Compared to the real young sovereign, you're too far away. Damn it, do you want to die? Long Ao was really angry. He punched over again. However, he couldn't find any trace of Lin Xian. Lin Xian appeared and disappeared like a ghost. He used Shadowless Heaven's net to perfection, just like a god. Who do you think you are? A dragon race expert? High and mighty? Do you think your bloodline is strong? Too naive. You're nothing in the dragon race. I'll let you know that your bloodline isn't the strongest outside of the Emperor's son. Rusalong, come up and tell him what a real dragon race bloodline is. The Crimson Dragon walked out and roared. After more than 10 years, this dragon can finally make a move. Come, dragon, let's fight. I'll personally trample you under my feet. The Crimson Dragon's eyes burst out with a bright light. Previously in the Divine Union, Lin Xian was incomparably dazzling, and he didn't have many opportunities to make a move. As a result, many people ignored him. However, Lin Xian knew that the Crimson Dragon's bloodline was extremely terrifying. Compared to this Dragon Prince, it wasn't weak at all. In fact, it was even stronger. Now it was time for the Crimson Dragon to show its strength. Chapter 50-59. With just you? A little snake. Long Ao looked at the Crimson Dragon and sneered. All right, this little psychological warfare has no effect on me. We will know who the snake is after the battle. The Crimson Dragon, with a flash, turned into lightning and struck forward. And I will let you know how powerful I am. Long Ao roared and punched out. Dragon Path Divine Fist. It was as if a giant dragon was sweeping between heaven and earth, the laws intertwined. And the void was like a painting being torn apart. The dark red divine dragon didn't even try to dodge. Take my punch as well. He waved his dragon claws and punched out. The dragon blood martial move was extremely powerful. Clang! A deafening sound rang out, and everyone's blood boiled. In the next moment, they saw two fists and retreated. They were evenly matched. Countless people exclaimed. It was too unbelievable. That was Long Ao, known as the Dragon Prince, the son of the Dragon Sea Lord. The power of his bloodline was extremely powerful, and he had the ancient body. It could be said that other than the Dragon Prince, who among the younger generation of the Dragon Clan could suppress him, even those who could contend against him were useless. But now there was someone who could withstand it. Wasn't this guy the dragon by Lin Xian's side? I always thought that he didn't have any ability, but I didn't expect him to be so powerful. Damn it, we were all fooled. He didn't make a move before, but who would have thought that his bloodline power was so terrifying? That Lin Wudi was really terrifying. Were there such experts around him? Now, do you still have the qualifications to call me a snake? The Crimson Dragon sneered. A terrifying light bloomed on his body, and with a sweep of his tail, it swept away thousands of troops. It turned into a heavenly blade and slashed out. This attack was even more powerful than a sacred weapon, and the 9 heavens were split open. Damn it, Long Ao was furious. Did he underestimate his opponent again? He absolutely couldn't stand it. This time, he would not lose again. The Dragon Path Divine Fist was used to the extreme, and it kept colliding with the Crimson Dragon's tail. Every strike made heaven and earth tremble. The surrounding people were shocked and quickly retreated. How many people would be able to withstand such a battle? The two of them exchanged 50 moves. The surrounding void kept on shattering as the terrifying dragon chi shrouded everything. Countless rumbling sounds rang out as tens of thousands of dragon silhouettes circled the area. Your Dragon Dao Divine Fist is completely useless. Take my heaven-splitting 10 strikes. The Crimson Dragon roared and waved its claws. It attacked 10 times in a row, and the whole world was shattered. This was also one of the great techniques of the Dragon Clan. Long Ao was beaten back. Both of his arms were broken, and even his bones were exposed. Damn it! He raised his head and roared. He didn't expect that his Dragon Dao Divine Fist would be broken by his opponent. Dragon Traversal 9 rotations. He roared angrily, turned into a giant dragon, and kept rolling. Every time he rolled, his strength increased by a bit. The laws on his body worked together with the Dragon Clan's peerless mystique as he charged forward. This time, the heaven-splitting 10 strikes was utterly shattered. I will not be defeated. I will let you know what the true ancient desolate body is. It charged over like a dragon god. It was too terrifying. This should be the great emperor's mystique. Countless people were shocked. The 9 revolutions of the dragon brought about incomparable power. Toad and the others were worried. Would Rizalong be okay? Lin Xian also narrowed his eyes. He didn't expect Long Ao to also cultivate the great emperor's mystique. It was indeed powerful, but fortunately, it seemed that the other party hadn't cultivated it to perfection. Moreover, he knew that the Crimson Dragon's trump card was definitely not weak. Although it didn't have the great emperor's mystique, it had the bloodline inheritance. As expected, the dark red divine dragon floated in the air as its body continued to grow in size in the face of such a shocking attack. It turned into a divine dragon that was 100 feet long. The scales on its back bloomed with dragon blood and soared into the air, forming a dragon blade in the air. Slash! With a roar, the 9 heavens and 10 earths shattered. The dragon blade slashed down, turning into the only thing in the world. Not good. At this moment, the people of the Dragon Clan were terrified. This blade was really too terrifying, as if it could split them in half. Damn it, which Dragon Clan did he belong to? The elders of the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty went crazy. Why didn't they know about such a powerful Dragon Clan genius before? Heaven and earth shattered. The front was shrouded in chaos, and they could only wait nervously. In the end, they saw a figure retreat. Long Ao was split in half and fled with a scream. He retreated, his hair disheveled, and roared crazily. Damn, Ant, you dare to hurt me? Countless people gasped. Long Ao was actually injured, and he was even split in half. The people of the Dragon Palace also couldn't believe it. The Crimson Dragon walked out of the chaos with a dragon blade floating above his head. He sneered. Don't you understand who's the Ant now? You've lost. Lin Xian also walked out with a smile. It was really a fierce battle, but unfortunately, you've lost again. Didn't you call yourself the number 1 genius below the Imperial Prince? Weren't you invincible in the Dragon Clan? How many times have you lost now? More than 10 years ago, when you just came out, one of your clones was killed by someone else. Later, your true body was suppressed by someone else, and you lost. More than 10 years later, you couldn't even block 2 of my moves. Now, you've lost to a powerhouse from the Dragon Clan, and he wasn't the Imperial Prince. You've lost too many times. What right does a person like you have to stand here? You're an ant, a piece of trash. You're destined to be trampled under others' feet for the rest of your life. Lin Xian said coldly. There was a strange aura in his voice. This was also the great emperor's ability, demonic voice. At this moment, when he used it, it began to affect Long Ao in the dark. Long Ao was so angry that his entire body trembled. He kept retreating, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. He roared towards the sky, as if he had gone mad. With a crack, there was a shattering sound between heaven and earth. Long Ao fell down. The elder of the 10,000 Dragons dynasty roared crazily. Damn it, You dare to break my Dao heart. He struck out with his palm. Lin Xian was already prepared. His figure flashed and instantly disappeared. Shadowless heavens net this elder couldn't hit him at all. How despicable. Didn't you say that you wouldn't attack me? Everyone in the world was watching. Damn it. The people of the 10,000 Dragons dynasty gritted their teeth. That elder said, "You broke his Dao heart. Can I attack you?" Lin Xian laughed. What a joke. His every move was a fatal move. If he was hit, his soul would be destroyed. I only said 2 sentences. His Dao heart was destroyed. What does it have to do with me? That's because his Dao heart isn't firm enough. Otherwise, how could it be destroyed? A person who doesn't even have a firm Dao heart, what right does he have to walk the path of the great emperor? What right does he have to compete with the imperial prince? Lin Xian's words were incomparably sonorous. The surrounding people were dumbfounded. They didn't expect Long Ao to be defeated again. Moreover, it seemed that this time he was completely trampled under his feet and couldn't make a comeback. Not only that, this was a ruthless slap to the Dragon Palace's face. This gathering had completely changed. The Dragon Palace wanted to use this gathering to create momentum for the Dragon Prince, but now they had been ruthlessly slapped in the face and completely lost face. Chapter 5060. Long Ao's Dao heart had been destroyed, and he was no different from a cripple now. If he could not regain his confidence, his life would be over. For a top genius, this was worse than death. Damn it, who are you? Who are you? The elder of the 1,000 Dragon Empire roared. In the sky, the Dragon Prince also cast his gaze down. He was surprised that this person could defeat Long Ao. Did he want to challenge the Dragon Palace? He was the real founder of the Dragon Palace. At this moment, there was a trace of killing intent in his eyes. This killing intent caused the surrounding geniuses to feel their scalps go numb. They knew that the Dragon Prince was angry. If the other party attacked, the black-robed man would not be able to withstand it. Who am I? Lin Xian smiled. Why? Does no one remember me? He slowly took off the cloak on his head, revealing his real face. Who is this person? Everyone looked over curiously. However, when they saw it, they were stunned as if they were struck by lightning. Lan Ziyu also opened her eyes wide in disbelief. In the next moment, she screamed in horror. Lin Xian, you are not dead. You're back. Some of the new geniuses were also shocked. Lin Xian, is he the Lin Wudi? Wasn't he a little too strong? Oh my God, it is really him. This was a legendary figure who had single-handedly established the divine union. Exclamations were heard one after another. At this moment, the whole place was in an uproar. It is him. It is really him. Bai Susu's eyes turned red. The Crimson Dragon and Toad smiled. As for Leaf Daudenier, a smile broke out on his face. He had guessed that it was Lin Xian, and now it was confirmed. Yes, it is me. Lin Xian looked around and said loudly, I'm back. Damn it. It is this guy. The people of the Dragon Palace gritted their teeth, and the Blue Tribe looked even worse. They thought that Lin Xian had not appeared for more than 10 years and had fallen. This made them very happy. However, not only did Lin Xian not fall, but he had also become stronger. Buffed. Long Ao even spat out a mouthful of old blood and directly fainted. If he had lost to someone else, he could still forgive him, but he had lost to Lin Xian. How could he tolerate this? However, if Long Ao were to know that this was just a clone of Lin Xian, the other party would probably have the heart to die. Lin Xian's appearance could be said to have set off an endless storm. All of a sudden, the atmosphere of the entire party changed completely. It was as if this gathering was no longer to build momentum for the Dragon Prince, but to prepare for Lin Xian's return. Everyone was looking at Lin Xian. All kinds of legends and discussions about him were spreading. The people of Dragon Palace were completely ignored. Humph! At this moment, a cold snort was heard. The 9 heavens were shaking. Everyone's bodies were trembling. When they came back to their senses, cold sweat flowed down. They had forgotten that the Dragon Prince was still here. This was an emperor's son. Once he was enraged, who could stop him? In the sky, the Dragon Prince said coldly, "Kid, I didn't expect you to grow to this extent. It's really surprising. But you actually dared to ruin my party. You've got guts. Kneel on the ground and apologize. I'll give you a quick death. Otherwise, you will die without a doubt." The Dragon Prince's gaze was like a divine sword piercing through the 9 heavens. Everyone was frightened and kept retreating. Under this power, no one seemed to be able to resist. The Crimson Dragon and the others were facing a great enemy. Even Yi Wudao clenched his fists. They didn't care about Long Ao, but the Dragon Prince was different. The other party had the strongest bloodline in the world. That was the bloodline of a great emperor. Moreover, the other party cultivated an emperor's scripture. Such a person was the strongest enemy. Kneel down and accept death? With just you? Lin Xian raised his head and snorted coldly. "Get down here. I don't like to raise my head and talk to others." Everyone sucked in a cold breath. This guy dared to challenge the emperor's son? Where did his courage come from? How dare he? The experts of Dragon Palace were also angry. "Who do you think you are? How dare you challenge our Dragon Prince?" Noisy. Lin Xian snorted coldly. With a wave of his hand, several rays of demonic light flew out and instantly pierced through the roaring people. Screams rang out. Those people were nailed to death in the void. Everyone was terrified. These people were also experts of Dragon Palace, top geniuses. But now they couldn't even block one move from Lin Xian. Lin Xian retracted his hand and said coldly, "I'm talking to the emperor's son. You're not qualified to challenge me." Everyone was shocked. Lin Xian had grown to the point where he could compete with the emperor's son, even by Susu, and the others couldn't believe it, because in their opinion, the emperor's son's opponent was only another emperor's son. He was above everyone else. And no matter how strong they were, they only had one title, and that was the strongest person under the emperor's son. For example, Long Ao used this title before, but no one dared to challenge the emperor's son. No one dared to make a move on the emperor's son. Lin Xian wanted to be the first challenger. "You want to challenge me? I'm afraid you're not qualified." The Dragon Prince's voice was cold. In his eyes, everyone under the emperor's son was an ant. Even if Lin Xian defeated Long Ao, he was still not qualified. Lin Xian laughed. So, what if he was the emperor's son? None of the emperors who became emperors in the past were emperors. They were all experts who walked out of countless dust. No matter how strong you are, you're just an emperor. You can't become an emperor. And I'm in existence who will become an emperor in the future. It's your honor that I challenge you. Lin Xian stepped into the air. His body walked up to the 9 heavens. This guy's belief was really too strong. The surrounding people were shocked. They kept retreating. At the same time, they were excited. They could finally see a top expert challenging an emperor's son. They wondered how many moves this Lin Wudi could take. For the past 10 years, he had disappeared. He must have gone out to train. They wondered if he had any gains. If he broke through to become a great sage, he might be able to compete with the Dragon Emperor. But now, it was a pity that his cultivation seemed to be weaker than the Dragon Prince. The people of the Dragon Palace snorted coldly. He couldn't even resist a finger of the Dragon Prince. Just wait. He'll definitely die in one move. What qualifications do you have to stand side by side with me? Get down. Seeing Lin Xian walking up, the Dragon Prince snorted coldly. He stomped his foot, and the endless void turned into fragments. A terrifying force rushed toward Lin Xian. Boom. Lin Xian punched out. The six paths fist shone brightly and pressed forward. Boom! The two collided, and an endless black hole appeared. Flames danced in the air. Lin Xian blocked the kick like a dragon coming out of the sea. Then he stood above the 9 heavens and stood side by side with the Dragon Prince. Heavens, he actually managed to block it. Countless people were in an uproar. Even the people of the Dragon Palace couldn't believe it. Did he really have the qualifications to challenge the Emperor's son? Chapter 5061. Am I qualified now? Lin Xian looked at the Dragon Prince and smirked. The Dragon Prince's face was terrifyingly dark. It was unbelievable that Lin Xian could block his attack. One had to know how terrifying his bloodline was. Even if it was a great sage middle stage, this move would be trampled into pieces by him. But Lin Xian blocked it. I underestimated you. Your talent is indeed super strong. If there were no Thearchs, no one would be able to compete with you. But it's a pity that I've appeared, so you must be trampled under my feet. The Dragon Prince's eyes shone with confidence again. So what if Lin Xian blocked it? That was just a casual attack. Next, he would let Lin Xian know what despair was. Dragon Path Divine Fist. The Dragon Prince punched out. Such a terrifying technique was in his hands. It was 10 times stronger than Long Aozi's previous attack. The terrifying light broke through the sky. So strong. Countless people looked up at the sky in horror. Lin Xian snorted coldly. It was the six-path fist again. The two collided again, as if two worlds were colliding. After one attack, Lin Xian laughed. Is this the strength of the arch? That's all. That's all. The Dragon Prince's pupils constricted when he heard this. Lin Xian actually dared to underestimate him. Dragon Path 9 transformations. First transformation. Another attack was thrown out, and there was a giant dragon in the sky. The power of this attack was even more terrifying than the Dragon Path Divine Fist. Countless people exclaimed, "It's the Thearch's divine ability. This power is much stronger than Long Aozi's. This Lin Xian is dead. That's for sure. No matter how strong he is, how can he block this attack? Brother Lin, let me see how you block it." Yi Wudao's eyes were also shining. Sword technique? Divine body? Or some other divine ability? In the face of this attack, Lin Xian also felt threatened. He took a deep breath and didn't dare to be careless. Then he slapped out his palm. His right hand was as black as ink, and it turned into a huge seal that slapped forward. The demonic god seal was also a Thearch's divine ability. Boom! The two collided again. The void shattered, and chaos filled the air, as if the world was splitting apart. Was Lin Wude dead? They looked ahead, but soon they were terrified. Lin Xian did not die. Instead, he managed to block the previous palm strike. This was too inconceivable. He was actually able to block the divine ability of a great emperor. Where did this guy come from? What had he been through all these years? The people of the Dragon Palace went crazy. Even the Dragon Prince's face turned pale again. How strong was he? Other than Kun Pengzi, no one could make him serious. As for the others, they were all killed in one move. But now, he had already executed the martial monarch realm divine ability to deal with an ant, yet he still could not do anything to the other party. Dragon traversing 9 transformations, second transformation. The 2 giant dragons rolled and charged forward. Its power increased exponentially. Lin Xian still used the Devil God Seal to contend against it, but the power above it was even more terrifying. Did he block the second attack as well? Everyone was shocked. If the first strike was due to luck, then the second strike was due to luck. It could no longer be explained by luck. Lin Xian really had the strength to compete with the Arch now. The Dragon Prince attacked again. This time, it was 3 dragon figures. The Devil God's seal shone brightly, and extremely terrifying runes appeared on it, as if it was going to suppress heaven and earth. After one attack, the 3 dragon figures were suppressed between heaven and earth. They roared at the sky, but they could not escape. Lin Xian laughed. "Dragon Prince, you're just SO. Someone like you still wants to be crowned king? Ridiculous." "He did it. Did he really do it?" Bai Susu was shocked. The Crimson Dragon could not believe it either. Heavens, what did this kid use? Yi Wudao's eyes shone with a terrifying light as he stared at the black seal. "I feel a fresh aura on it. Could it be a great emperor, realm divine ability?" he gasped. He did not expect Brother Lin to also cultivate a great emperor, realm divine ability. No wonder he could compete with the Arch. The Dragon Prince did not make a move. His eyes shone brightly as he said coldly, "I didn't expect you to also know a divine ability. That was really out of my expectations." "What?" Lin Xian actually used a great emperor realm divine ability. Heavens, he actually knows a great emperor realm divine ability? Could it be that he's also a Arch? Impossible, he doesn't have such a bloodline power. Could it be that he found a great emperor realm divine ability in some ruins outside? His luck was too good. Exclamations of surprise rang out one after another. At this moment, everyone's eyes were red. They could only be envious that the Dragon Prince had a great emperor realm divine ability because he was a Arch. But Lin Xian was just like them. He was not a Arch, nor was he a member of the Arch race. But now Lin Xian also had a great emperor realm divine ability. They were about to go crazy. Even some of the older generation powerhouses' eyes were burning with passion. If there was a chance, they would attack at all costs. Had he been discovered? Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. But soon, he snorted coldly. So what? This time, he didn't plan to hide. So what if he was discovered? "Kid, do you think you can compete with me just because you know a great emperor realm divine ability? You're too naive. The inheritance of an ancient great emperor is not as simple as you think. Next, I'll let you see it for yourself." Beside him, there were a few more figures of dragons rolling about. Obviously, the Dragon Prince was going to use an even more terrifying technique. Lin Xian's eyes shone brightly. Suddenly, he was stunned and sighed. "It seems that my time is up." "Time is up? What does that mean?" Everyone was puzzled. Soon, they discovered that the black seal in the sky was slowly disappearing. 3 giant dragons flew up and roared at the sky. Not only that, Lin Xian's figure also became dim, as if he would disappear at any time. What's going on? Is Lin Wuti injured? Is he going to die? Exclamations sounded one after another. The Crimson Dragon and the others were also nervous. Yi Wudao's eyes shone with a cold light. The next moment, he seemed to have discovered something and exclaimed, "No, it's not death, it's a clone." His clone's power was exhausted and was about to disappear. "What? Is this a clone?" Everyone was stunned. An existence that suppressed Long Ao in 2 moves and could now use a great emperor realm divine ability to compete with the Dragon Prince. "You're telling me that this is just a clone?" They couldn't accept it. Then where is Lin Xian's real body? How powerful is Lin Xian's real body? Could it be that he's already on par with the Crown Prince? Everyone felt like they were dreaming. Can someone really be so heaven-defying? Damn it, the Dragon Prince was also angry. He felt like he had been slapped in the face. The one who fought with him was just a clone. Was the other party looking down on him? He slapped out a palm, enveloping the clone. However, the demonic chi rolled and disappeared. Lin Xian's clone disappeared without a trace. Chapter 5062. It doesn't matter if you're a clone or your real body, you'll still be destroyed when you meet me. Lin Wuti, one day, I'll let you know what despair is. The Dragon Prince retracted his palm and looked around. He said coldly, "In a month, I'll be crowned as the Crown King in the True Path sect. By then, I'll be the king of the world." After saying that, he waved his sleeve and turned to leave. The gathering had been completely ruined by Lin Xian. He was too ashamed to stay any longer. The people of the Dragon Palace also sent the guests off. The surrounding people all left. They were extremely shocked. They quickly spread the news, especially those from the three great orthodoxies and the clans of the ancients. Lin Xian's return caused a huge commotion. He was too powerful. "What? You're saying that Lin Xian is back?" Moreover, he could compete with the Dragon Prince. What a joke. Who does he think he is? How could he compete with the Emperor's son? Some experts and saints shook their heads when they heard that. However, they realized that the news was spreading like wildfire. Many people had seen it with their own eyes. Among them were the 5 great swordsmen of the heavenly sect, Yi Wu Dao, and the Overlord of the Earth sect. These people would not lie. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Has Lin Xian become so powerful? He was too heaven-defying. He was really a young great emperor. Did you know that's not all? The one who competed with the Dragon Prince was only Lin Xian's clone. This news made countless people go crazy. A clone competed with the Emperor's son. Oh heavens! Oh earth! What kind of scene was this? Everyone felt that it was so unreal. A young supreme being. Lin Xian already had the strength of an emperor's son. He was above everything. It was said that he had also cultivated the great emperor's divine power, who could suppress him in the future. Discussions could be heard one after another. At this moment, the people from the 3 great orthodoxies were shocked. The clans of the ancients and the great sects were terrified, especially those who had a grudge against Lin Xian. They were facing a great enemy. Now, they could only pin their hopes on the Dragon Prince. They hoped that the Dragon Prince could show his strength and kill Lin Xian. When Tianzong heard the news, he was also shocked. Kunpengzi's eyes flashed. Lin Xian, another opponent, had appeared out of nowhere. Previously, he didn't pay any attention to it at all. As far as he was concerned, his strongest opponent was only the Dragon Prince. Of course, there were other threats, such as Leaf Dowdenier and Ancient Wind. These people cultivated the inheritances of the great emperors. In the future, they might be able to fight against them. But as for Lin Xian, he didn't care at all. But now, the speed at which the other party grew had far exceeded his imagination. A young supreme being? Interesting, it really was a golden age. But I am not afraid of anything. Kunpengzi stood up, and the yin and yang qi flowed around his body. He was like a god, abnormally mysterious. The people of Dragon Palace gnashed their teeth. The 10,000 Dragon Court had also gathered countless experts and elders. Someone said, "Who would have thought that he was such a scourge? I'll go and kill him." A terrifying great sage walked out, his body radiating with biting cold killing intent. However, one of the ancestors shook his head. No matter how strong he was, he definitely wouldn't be a match for the Dragon Prince. They would keep him alive. When the Dragon Prince was crowned, they would use him as a sacrifice. The eyes of the people of the 10,000 Dragon Court lit up. In a month, the Dragon Prince would be crowned king. At that time, during the ceremony, the Dragon Prince would kill Lin Xian in front of the entire world. Only then would the world be shocked, and everyone would know who was the ruler of the world. There was only a month left. They had to prepare well and invite the experts of the world. This time, their coronation had to surpass Kunpengzi's. The people of the 10,000 Dragon Court moved quickly. On the other side, in the core region of the Taoist sect, when the elders found out, they were all stunned. They had misjudged. They didn't expect the Taoist sect to have such a hidden dragon, but they were hesitant. If it was before, they would definitely be happy, because this Lin Xian also had the right to be crowned king. But it was different now. The Dragon Prince was about to be crowned. The Dragon Prince and Lin Xian were sworn enemies. Could the Taoist sect support 2 people? They could only choose one. Some of the elders sighed. They seemed to have thought of something. Previously, before Lin Xian, there had also been someone who had displayed the talent of a young paragon. That was Long Guang, a powerhouse of the dragon tribe. He had once competed with the Dragon Prince, but had unexpectedly fallen. Although there was no evidence, these elders knew that it was very likely that the 10,000 Dragon Court had done it. The 10,000 Dragon Court didn't allow anyone to threaten the Dragon Prince. Would Lin Xian be the second Long Guang? What would happen to him? These elders didn't know, but they weren't optimistic. On the other hand, the Divine Union was extremely excited. On this day, all the members of the Divine Union gathered together. They were extremely excited as they looked ahead. Boss Lin had returned and could even compete with the Dragon Prince. What kind of scene was this? Previously, they had been suppressed by the Dragon Palace and couldn't raise their heads. Many people had even been seriously injured, and some had even fallen. They had thought that the Divine Union was finished. They hadn't expected that things would turn around and Lin Xian would return. The Divine Union was finally going to rise again. Ahead, the Crimson Dragon and the others were also waiting. Not long after, a devil-like figure appeared in the distance. Was it another clone? The Crimson Dragon asked. That figure was Lin Xian's clone. He nodded. I'm trying my best to break through the sacred Gulf Tower and reach the peak within a month. Therefore, my main body can't come out. The Crimson Dragon and the others gasped when they heard this. Reaching the peak within a month? Wouldn't that mean that he would also be crowned as a monarch? Was the Divine Union going to have a monarch with 1 crown? That was great. This way, they wouldn't have to fear the Dragon Palace anymore. So, what if it was the Dragon Prince? They also had a monarch with 1 crown on their side. With his clone overseeing the Divine Union, Lin Xian also started to make arrangements. He said loudly, Everyone, I know that you have been suppressed and attacked previously. We will take revenge. Cheers rang out one after another as the members of the Divine Union roared. They had all seen hope. Lin Xian waved his hand once again and smiled. Come, let me introduce some new friends to everyone. With a wave of his hand, a vortex appeared in the air. Senior Soul, come out. The people who walked out were the Soul Sage, Soul Cliff, and the other Soul Sages. After they came out, they stood in the void, and a terrifying murderous aura spread in all directions. The surrounding geniuses of the Divine Union narrowed their eyes. They felt a biting cold murderous intent engulf them. It seemed like it could easily tear their bodies apart. Who were these people? The Crimson Dragon was also surprised. Chapter 5063. Bai Susu frowned and said, What a terrifying, murderous aura. Could they be assassins? Lin Xian smiled. That's right, they were assassins and extremely terrifying killing sages. They appeared and disappeared mysteriously and killed without leaving a trace. These are my life and death friends that I met when I was training outside. From now on, we will be a family. Next, it was time to celebrate. Everyone was excited to meet again after more than 10 years. Therefore, the banquet lasted for 6 days, and everyone was still unsatisfied. However, the Crimson Dragon and the rest knew that there were more important things waiting for them. Today, everyone gathered again. Lin Xian asked about what had happened in the past 10 years. Soon he frowned. Are you saying that Lan Ziyu was the one who led the suppression of the Divine Union all these years? Lin Xian's face was cold. This woman had attacked them more than once. Previously, she had relied on the geniuses of the Blue Tribe. Later on, when the geniuses of the Blue Tribe were destroyed, she had relied on Long Ao. She had used the power of the Dragon Palace to suppress them. It seemed like there was no need for her to exist. Let's start with her. Lin Xian said coldly. Since Lan Ziyu was the main culprit, he would not let her go no matter what. Let's go and take revenge. Lin Xian waved his hand and walked forward. At this moment, more terrifying news came. The Dragon Prince had successfully reached the top. At this moment, a terrifying bell sound came from the Holy Gulf Tower and reverberated in all directions. Countless people in the Holy Gulf ancient city looked into the distance. Had someone reached the top again? The Dragon Prince had done it. It was a fact that he had been crowned as the King of the Crown. Exclamations were heard one after another. The people of the Dragon Palace laughed heartily. This was great. The families and sects under the Dragon Prince were also ecstatic. From now on, they would soar to the sky. Tianzong frowned, and Kunpingzi's eyes flickered. Had he finally reached the top? Now he was qualified to fight with them. When the time came, they would have to see how strong he was. A black and white aura appeared in his eyes. Lin Xian and the rest were also solemn when they heard the news. Reaching the top represented a pinnacle of strength. Bai Susu and the others turned to look at Lin Xian. Was he still going to make a move? After all, the Blue Clan was under the Dragon Emperor's command. Attack. Lin Xian remained unmoved. His main body had already swept through the Sacred Abyss Tower. With the strength of his main body, it was only a matter of time before he reached the peak. So he was not afraid of the Dragon Prince at all. They walked towards the Dragon Palace, but learned that Lan Ziyu had already left. The toad said she didn't return to the Dragon Palace at all. Ever since Long Ao's Dao heart was shattered, she seemed to have left with her family. This woman is really scheming, the Crimson Dragon snorted. Now that Long Ao was crippled, Lan Ziyu didn't even dare to return to the Dragon Palace without any backing. It seems that she knows we should look for her again. Bai Susu harumphed coldly. Unfortunately for her, she won't be able to escape. We've been keeping an eye on her for a long time now, and we know the 3 places she frequents. Let's go. Lin Xian waved his hand and led his men out. Bright Moon Lake. This place was like a paradise on earth, and it was a place Lan Ziyu frequented before. At this moment, there were still guards from the Dragon Palace guarding this place. Suddenly, their pupils constricted because they saw a group of people appear in front of them. Who is it? Stop, go back. This is not a place you can come. The people from the Dragon Palace shouted coldly. However, what greeted them was a slap. A black palm blotted out the sky and covered the earth, smashing them into a bloody mist. Damn it, who is it? It's too powerful. The guards were horrified. There was a great sage among them, and his face was filled with despair. Someone who could kill him in one move was definitely not an ordinary person. The terrifying demonic aura reminded him of someone who had just returned. You're Lin Xian. He was horrified. Lin Xian smiled. That's right. It's me. Where's Lan Ziyu? Are you looking for Fairy Lan? She's not here. The great sage was horrified. Lin Wudi, don't go too far. Don't you know that our Dragon Prince has already reached the peak? So what? Lin Xian was unmoved. He slapped the other party's soul into pieces. Then he said, Go in and look for her. The people from the Divine Union moved out one after another, and a huge battle ensued. Some of the guards inside were also roaring. They wanted to send out a distress signal. Lin Xian's hand covered the entire area. Not a single message could be sent out. The Crimson Dragon and the others moved out. This time, the people from the Soul Sect also came. Hanya led them and appeared and disappeared unpredictably. In the end, everyone in the Bright Moon Lake died, and the entire lake was dyed red with blood. Is she here? Lin Xian asked. Those people searched once and shattered the ground, turning it into an abyss. They said, No, she's not here. Then they went to another place. Then The second and third places all received devastating blows. However, there was still no sign of Lan Ziyu. Where did he go? Bai Susu said, he should have returned to the Blue Tribe. I know about their branch's manor domain. The Blue Tribe? Let's go. The group set off again. So, what if it was a clan of the ancients? They still dared to attack aggressively. Blue Feather Manor, the manor that was named after Lan Ziyu, was a newly built territory. The people who lived there were from Lan Ziyu's lineage. At the moment, many experts were gathered in Blue Feather Manor. An old man stood with his hands behind his back. He was Lan Ziyu's grandfather. Beside him was Lan Ziyu's father, and the other powerhouses of the Blue Tribe. Someone said, "That's great." Although Long Ao's Dao heart was shattered, the Dragon Prince finally succeeded. The Blue Tribe's strength will also increase in the future and surpass the other clan of the ancients. Lin Wuti is nothing to be afraid of. Lan Ziyu's grandfather smiled. I've already received a piece of news. The Dragon Prince will personally kill Lin Wuti during the monarch conferral ceremony to intimidate everyone. Therefore, Lin Wuti will definitely die. Ha 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 ha. They all burst into laughter. At that moment, an earth-shattering voice rang out. A ray of sword light pierced through the 9 heavens like a bolt of lightning, splitting the sky and earth. Their great hall also began to shake violently. Who is it? How dare they come to the Blue Manor and behave atrociously? The powerhouses all walked out. They saw the sky split open in front of them, and a group of people walked over. The one at the front was a man in a black robe. Lin Wuti, it's you? How dare you come here? Lan Ziyu's father roared, You're courting death. Attack. At his command, countless formations appeared around them, along with countless powerhouses of the Blue Tribe. The formations flashed with terrifying lightning, terrifying flames, and torrential seawater. They all rushed over, trying to swallow Lin Xian. Lin Xian roared and waved his hand. Terrifying sword qi slashed out in all directions, shattering the sky and earth. Countless cracks appeared on those spirit formations, and they shattered into pieces. Chapter 5064. The people from the Blue Clan were stunned. These arrays had been carefully set up by them and were terrifying. Even a group of great sages might not be able to break them. But now, with just a few simple swords from Lin Xian, he was torn into pieces. How terrifying was this guy's strength! Lan Ziyu's father's face turned ugly. They knew that the other party was strong, but they had not seen it with their own eyes. Therefore, they all felt that the rumors were exaggerated, and that there were a lot of exaggerations. But now that they saw this scene, they changed their minds. They had underestimated the other party. Father. The middle-aged man looked at the old man behind him. The old man's face was cold as he walked out. He was Lan Ziyu's grandfather. Young man, you don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Kneel down now and break your own arms. I'll give you a quick death. Otherwise, I'll let you know what it means to wish you were dead. A piercingly cold voice rang out. The surrounding void could not withstand this power and began to crack open. Lin Xian laughed after hearing this. Hand over Lan Ziyu, and I'll let you die a quick death. Otherwise, I'll let you know what it means to be reincarnated. You're courting death. Stubborn. Elder Lan was completely enraged. He waved his palm. Everywhere it passed, the world was frozen. It was as if a world of ice had descended. The void around Lin Xian turned into an ice cage. The strength of this attack shocked the people from the Divine Union. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. He had not expected this elder to be an expert, who had surpassed the average intermediate great sage. However, Lin Xian was still not afraid. The other party was not a great sage. Therefore, he sneered and thought, You want to trap me with these petty tricks of yours? Sword Qi appeared in his hand, and slashed in all directions. The piercingly cold sword light shattered all the ice in the surroundings. The monstrous sword shadow seemed to shatter everything. An earth-shattering sound rang out. The surrounding ice shattered into pieces. Elderland's pupils shrank. He kept retreating. One of his arms was cut open and blood was staining it. "Elder!" Countless people exclaimed. The middle-aged man's pupils shrank as well. "Father, are you okay?" They were all scared silly. This young man in front of them was actually so powerful that even their elders were no match for him. Lin Xian sneered. "You dare to contend with me with this little bit of strength? Hand over Lan Ziyu. Young man, you don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. You actually dared to hurt me. I will let you know what despair is." The old man threw away the walking stick in his hand. A blue rune appeared between his eyebrows and spread throughout his body. "Father!" When he saw this scene, the middle-aged man exclaimed, "Could it be that he's going to execute that ultimate technique?" However, he still wanted to say something, but Elder Lon waved his hand and stopped him. "After recuperating for so many years, some people have already forgotten my name. Now it was time to show off his strength and let these young juniors see what a true peerless expert was." As the blue runes spread, Elder Blue's power kept increasing. Behind them, the Crimson Dragon and the others also frowned. What was this? The people from the Divine Union exclaimed. The Crimson Dragon said it was a secret technique that could seal part of one's cultivation to prolong one's life. Once it was executed, one would recover to their peak combat strength, but the loss of life would intensify. It seemed that the old man was serious. So what if he was serious? Toad snorted coldly. Let's see his expression of despair later. It was freezing up ahead. Elder Blue's aura was much more tyrannical than before. He was like the god of ice, and an ice divine sword appeared in his hand. With a wave of his hand, the world was frozen. "Young man, how do you want to die?" "I will fulfill your wish." The ice divine sword pointed forward, and an ice dragon condensed. Wherever he passed, nothing could escape. Was he still hiding his strength? Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. He didn't expect Lan Ziyu's grandfather to be an expert. It was a pity that the other party had met him. The demonic aura on his body condensed and formed a demonic sword. Lin Xian walked forward. "You want to compete with me in sword techniques? Do you know what sword techniques are?" As he spoke, a biting cold sword aura slashed forward, and a terrifying demonic light surged through the 9 heavens. That ice dragon was instantly shattered. "You have some strength. Watch my blue spirit sword." The ice divine sword swayed, and the terrifying sword light turned into an illusion, shrouding the front. "Retreat quickly." The people of the Blue Clan quickly retreated. They were nervous and expectant. The middle-aged man snorted. His father had already used all his strength. The other party definitely couldn't resist. There was still a huge gap between a top genius and a peerless powerhouse. The sword light that filled the sky split open, and the cold aura froze everything. A black figure was also sealed in ice. When Elder Blue saw this, the corners of his mouth curled up. It was over. He walked up. The people of the Blue Clan laughed. It was over so quickly. Could this guy compete with the Dragon Prince? What a joke. Elder Blue's sword cleaved the black figure into 2 halves. However, his pupils shrank. No blood flowed out. Was it an afterimage? He suddenly turned around, only to find a demonic sword flying toward his forehead. In a panic, he formed a seal with his palms, and a blue ice divine shield blocked it. He was sent flying, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. The blue shield was also split in half. Elder Blue's face turned ugly, and the middle-aged man behind him was horrified. That was a divine artifact. How could it be split in half? How terrifying was the power of this sword? If his father didn't have a trump card that sword could have avoided his father's head. I've said it before. You're courting death if you want to compete with me in sword techniques. Lin Xian had already used Shadowless Heaven's Net to dodge that sword. That was the first strike of the Shura sword, which was blocked by his opponent's divine artifact. However, he didn't care. He wanted to see how many strikes his opponent could block. How dare you destroy my divine artifact? You've completely angered me. Elder Blue snorted. He waved his hand and took out another divine artifact. It was a weapon that looked like a teapot. It was exquisite, and there were endless runes of law revolving around it. It was the blue smoke pot. He activated it, and blue mist floated out from it. Like ribbons, it wrapped around the front. There was a sinister power on it. The people from the Blue clan laughed when they saw this. They knew that the blue smoke pot was an extremely terrifying treasure. Once entangled by the blue mist, there was no way to escape. Let's see how that kid will die this time. The blue mist surrounded Lin Xian, and even Lin Xian's sword light seemed to be entangled. Seeing this scene, Elder Blue laughed loudly. Little Zay, although you're strong, you're too young. You're no match for me in terms of foundation. I only need to take out a few divine artifacts to make you despair. Now that you're entangled by my blue smoke pot, let's see how you can escape. He raised the blue smoke pot, wanting to suck Lin Xian in. Chapter 5065. Lin Xian frowned when he sensed the terrifying aura. He had to admit that the other party's saint artifact was indeed extraordinary. Seeing that Lin Xian was resisting, Elder Blue snorted coldly. Kid, it's useless. No matter how strong you are, you won't be able to withstand it. To be honest, you're indeed a top-notch genius. You don't have the bloodline of a Tharch, but your talent and strength are comparable to a Thearka's. No matter which era you were in, you could reach the peak and even become a great emperor. But it's a pity that you appeared in this era. In this era, there are several Thearchs. Moreover, you're too arrogant. You actually dared to offend an elder like me. Therefore, I'll send you on your way. A dead genius is nothing. A smile appeared on Su Chen's face. A dead genius? You're too arrogant. Who do you think you are? Also, let me tell you, the one you're fighting now is just a clone of mine. What? Clone? Elder Blue's pupils constricted when he heard this. He didn't dare to believe that the other party's clone was already so powerful. Damn it, this made him feel a strong sense of danger. Even if he killed the other party's clone, so what? Damn it, I don't believe you. Don't try to lie to me. Kid, do you think I can't see through your plan? You want to distract me so that you can escape? What a joke. Elder Blue was unmoved and continued to activate the mist smoke pot. Tens of thousands of wisps of smoke filled the air, trying to pull Lin Xian into it. Go to hell. The blue smoke pot contained an extremely powerful energy that could turn the other party into a pool of blood. Ignorant, you're already old. Let me show you the power of the heart. Lin Xian released a terrifying demonic aura. It was as if he had transformed into a demon lord. However, he was still sucked in. Lin Xian's figure disappeared and entered the blue smoke pot. Elder Blue looked up and laughed. Clone? Genius? You'll be a pool of blood after you enter. Great, the elder is mighty. When the people of the blue race saw this, they all looked up and laughed. The Crimson Dragon frowned. This saint artifact was extremely extraordinary. He wondered how Lin Xian was doing. Although they were nervous, they were not worried. This was because it was indeed just a clone. However, if the doppelganger was destroyed, then their operation this time would have failed. Wung, boom. At this moment, a deep sound rang out between heaven and earth, followed by a violent roar. Everyone looked over, and the faces of the Blue clan members turned ugly. Elder Blue's expression turned grave. He realized that the sound was coming from the blue smoke pot in his hand. At this moment, The mist smoke pot was shaking violently, and the radiance on the fan had dimmed. Clearly, the people inside were making a move. Damn it, how is this possible? Refine it for me, Elder Blue roared crazily as he unleashed countless laws. However, the blue smoke pot was becoming dimmer and dimmer. It looked like it could shatter at any moment. Damn it, Elder Blue didn't dare to be careless anymore. He quickly opened the blue smoke pot. A figure flew out from inside. It was Lin Xian. At this moment, his body was surrounded by demonic qi, so he was unharmed. Do you think a mere saint artifact can do anything to me? Lin Xian stood in the sky with a mocking expression. Damn brat, Elder Blue had long lost his previous calmness. Lin Xian shook his head. Everything was over. Even if it's just a doppelganger. It's not something you can resist. A black seal condensed in Lin Xian's hand. Damn brat. How dare you look down on me? Fine. Then I'll let you die under my ultimate technique. Elder Blue put away the blue smoke pot. His palms kept forming seals, and the bloodline laws on his body erupted. Behind him, the phantom of a frost wolf formed. As soon as the frost wolf appeared, it roared towards the sky. It was as if an ancient divine beast had been resurrected. It let out a terrifying roar. The surrounding people's blood boiled. Brat, can you block this move? If you can't, then die. Elder Blue waved his hand, and the frost wolf behind him rushed out. A pair of sharp claws fell from the sky. This was a law divine beast condensed from his bloodline. Its strength was terrifying. It was even more terrifying than the blue smoke pot from before. Under this attack, the other party would definitely be torn to pieces. Looking at the phantom of the frost wolf that rushed over and the terrifying storm that filled the sky, Lin Xian shook his head. Is this your strongest attack? It's really disappointing. He waved his hand, and the black demon god seal fell down. Useless brat, you can't resist at all. Elder Blue sneered. However, his smile soon froze because he found that the phantom of his bloodline had stopped in midair. It was suppressed by a black seal. Damn it, what is that seal? Elder Blue was dumbfounded and couldn't believe it. Could it be a terrifying sacred artifact? Damn it, this brat really has a trump card. Just as he was thinking, the demon god seal fell. The bloodline god wolf let out a blood-curdling scream as it was torn into pieces. Elder Blue also vomited blood and kept retreating. His face was incomparably pale. Even his bloodline ability was broken, and he was seriously injured. What made him even more frightened was that the black seal was directly above his head and would fall at any time. Damn it, how dare you? Let go of our elder. The people of the Blue clan in the distance roared crazily. Elder Blue also shouted angrily. Do you dare to kill me? The Blue clan is an ancient clan, and I'm just an elder. The Blue clan has countless experts, and if you kill me, you will be hunted down crazily. You have to think carefully. Are these your last words? Then go to hell. In the face of such a threat, Lin Xian wasn't moved. The demon god seal fell and blasted Elder Blue into a bloody mist. With a wave of his hand, a storage ring flew out. There were sacred artifacts, such as the blue smoke pot in it, and Lin Xian put it away. Elder. The people of the Blue clan knelt on the ground. The middle-aged man's face was also filled with despair, and his body was trembling. In the distant sky, two figures streaked across. These two were extremely terrifying. The flames on their bodies were even more terrifying, and there were dragon shadows surrounding them. They were the two elders of the Fire Dragon clan. One of them said, "The Dragon Prince has ascended to the peak of the Sacred Abyss Tower. It won't be long before he's crowned. We have to hurry over to congratulate him." The other person shook his head and sighed. What a pity! Because of the Fire Dragon Lady, we stood on Lin Xian's side. I'm afraid we've already offended the Dragon Prince. This time, no matter what price they had to pay, they had to beg for the Dragon Prince's forgiveness. The two of them were worried about the future of the Fire Dragon clan. Suddenly, the two of them were stunned. There was a huge battle ahead, and it was an extremely terrifying battle between great saints. Who was it? The two of them were curious and went over to take a look. When they arrived, they realized that it was the Blue Clan's manor. Who dared to attack the Blue Clan? They knew that the Blue Clan was now the favorite of the Dragon Palace. They were an existence that everyone looked up to and envied. But now, someone dared to attack them? They looked down, and in the next moment, they saw an elder vomiting blood and flying backward. That was Lan Ziyu's grandfather, right? Lan Ziyu's status in the Dragon Palace was extraordinary. As the two of them talked, their pupils shrank. They realized that the elder below had been blasted into a bloody mist, and his soul had been destroyed. You're tuning into the Mystic Fist YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.